Welcome to Storm King's Thunder, where me and a bunch of my nerdy-ass friends get together and we play Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons! Tonight, we are picking up Session 20, which I had to triple check to make sure that number was right, because I'm like, surely not. But yes, 20.
Like a nat 20?
You guys have, and by the time you get back to Nightstone, you guys will have completed 3 months of in-game play. Fair bit of that being travel, of course, but last where we left off, the Lords of Nightstone had just arrived at Grudhog, the Den of the Hill Giants, a dam built between, that created a lake and had a river running through it, as well as several smaller streams. And atop of that, a very large house-like structure that was the home of Ga and her many husbands. Tally was able to keenly perceive a guard keeping watch, as well as a few guards in the tower across the way. And once the guard had noticed you all in the forest as you began to talk and whisper, stealthily approached and told you that he knew why you were here, that he recognized you from the description that Thibodeau gave, and that he wants to help you overthrow Ga. By getting rid of some of the orcs in the lower part of the camp and providing you some much-needed information on prisoners kept within the lower levels of the dungeon, you were able to sneak in, tiptoeing past the 2 sleeping giants in the barracks, making your way into the pig pen with bugbears and an Etin standing guard. After making fairly quick work of them, you realized that you no longer heard the bellowing snores of the 2 hill giants in the previous room. Began to make your way as carefully as possible into the prison to free the prisoners. Upon doing so, you met Gahlvin, the green dragonborn, who created psionic arrows not that different from the arrows that Tally created, as well as Tyri, a Uthgard barbarian from the something tribe. The something tribe, that's a new one.
You say Tyri? The ghost tribe?
Yes, thank you. Yes, from the tree ghost tribe, you are correct. Who Goldbrand was kind enough to lend the wood and stone maul that you guys had picked off the corpse of the wereboar. Upon freeing them and arming your new allies, and as well as freeing the farmers that were imprisoned, you guys snuck around the hill giants that went to fetch the butcher and used the pigs as cover to sneak your way out. Once you exited, you made your way back around to catch up with Herc, your hill giant ally, and planned your assault. You went in guns blazing, blasting arrows and knives and beams of starlight and burst of sunlight, and a rather tough but hard-won battle. You guys did fairly well. I don't think anybody dropped during it, which is good because you didn't have Ember to pick you back up, so that would have been a little rough. After making mincemeat out of Ga's husbands and the ogres and the hobgoblins that infested this den, the only one remaining was Ga. And as we left off, Gahlvin, using a bit of his telekinetic powers that he demonstrated earlier in retrieving the bow off the corpse of the bugbear below, made her roll forward to where she landed on one of these wooden grates that led to a pit down to the pigs, and with that, cracked it and fell, but her immense form so large that she caught herself, but was, for all intents and purposes, restrained. And that, my dudes, so we're going to pick up tonight's session. Anything anybody want to say about last week before we start?
Fun as hell.
Fun as hell.
Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
I also had a good time. All right. You all face the absolutely revolting form of Ga, chins now pressed up high, folds of flat overflowing from the hole that she's now stuck in, grease, blood, bones, full corpses trapped within her fat rolls, as she all begins just cursing you as loud as she can in Giant, calling you cowards and fools, and demanding that you get her out of there immediately. What do you do?
Wow.
Well, I mean, if we get a fire on the lower floor, we got a nice little roast pig here.
That's all. I like that. Goldbrand, still in the throes of his rage, having just killed 2 giants, is
Like a
you know,
badass.
Yeah, so he's not only is he pumped full of adrenaline, but he's technically still raging.
Yep.
He's just going to roar, and I wouldn't say sprint, but he's going to take big old strides towards Guh. It's his axe in the air, like it's pretty obvious he's getting ready to just start swinging. Veins everywhere, like he looks roided out. It's the best description I would have of a barbarian in the middle of a rage. He just killed 2 giants. He's going at it. No one stops him.
As you approach, she snarls, and Giant, listen here, you goddamn appetizers! You better get me out of this pit before I throw you to the hogs!
Can I put the axe like in her mouth, down through her jaw for the first swing?
Yeah, swing to hit.
Oh, yay! Do I get to do it twice?
You have a multi-attack, yeah.
We're not gonna find anything out if you take her mouth off.
You do have a point, to be fair. Things
He'll do
barbarians
first
don't
hit.
think about.
He'll do the first hit. Yeah, he'll do the first hit that way and hear Davos, and then probably just start going for like her collarbone-ish area. There's the first one. There's the second one.
Second one hits. Roll some damage. As your axe sinks into her.
+2.
+2.
Rage.
Oh, thank you. As your axe, you go again for the face, and while your blade is sharp, her skin is slick with the blood and grease, and it kind of skirts off to the side, and you, instead of going in the downward angle, you come into the side and catch her in what would be her upper abdomen beneath her flailing arms. But it is, she's doesn't seem overly concerned by it. While you cut fairly deep, all you see is white as the fat just like oozes out of the wound a little bit. You don't even really see much blood at all.
Goldman like instinctively braces to see if she can hit him back. Like
she swings the belt, but can't quite, and she's not in a position to be able to grab anything around her. Gahlvin will, upon hearing what Davos said, actually we'll make this Tally since he's not here. Tally, upon hearing what Davos said, goes, "Do you have questions for the fat one?"
Where's the conch?
Where's the conch? Oh, the last thing you saw was upon her throne, which is this broken wagon covered in a multitude of things. A lot of rotting food in various states of decomposition, as well as gold coins. You see armor and weapons, and right there in the very back, a rather out-of-place object, a beautiful seashell, pink and spiraled with spikes across it, that forms a neat little conch.
While they're talking / looking around, Goldbrand's gonna keep going at it. He's raging.
Roll 2 more, yeah.
Stop it. I was about to say, if he's
you
raging,
can reckless, if you want advantage to.
I guess I will. He wouldn't.
After this
There's the first
success
one.
or failure, I will try to calm
Second
Goldbrand
one.
down.
Roll 2 more. Damages, I mean.
Oh, I was supposed to say, huh?
Pitch. Fuck this bitch up. Ignore Brandon completely.
So that's +4 more total for my rage.
Okay, so that's 23, 27. Davos, what do you say to try to soothe your barbarian ally?
Whoa, calm down, big buddy.
Goldbrand spins, and you can see I think his forehead's probably one of the worst because he snorts the bloodweed. He's got veins all over, bodybuilder style, but his forehead his face is veined out.
Yeah, it's almost like that one guy from Naruto when he does his little fucking eye thing. It's just all around the eyes.
Ew, yeah.
Hinata's cousin, I forget his name.
Neji.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't pronounce the
You
name.
don't swing at me, do you?
No, but what he will do is no. And just you saying something to him and causing him to turn burns the 6 seconds that is required for the rage to go away. Because technically it only.
Oh, and we lost it.
Froze.
Yeah, just that delay. You kind of watch the veins. He stands there and kind of towers over you. His veins start to recede since he doesn't hit anything. And then he'll kind of look at the ground for a second, look back at Davos. And he'll take out, small folk, children carry flask. Goldbrand carries what to a small folk would be like a drinking horn, like a Viking style drinking horn. It's closed off at the big end, and the shorter end, the end of what would have been the horn, has a cork or a cap on it. and this is his flask. He'll actually take it off and like plop it into Davos's hands, and he'll say, if this wasn't for yous, I'se would not have killed those two fuckers, and would not be standing right now. And he's actually going to wander over to one of the giants and like flop down on his butt and like lean against one of their bellies, like
I thought
like
you meant on the giant's butt.
beanbag.
I got you.
No, he's like sit on the floor and like lean against them like a beanbag.
Disgusting.
And, that's in
They're
reference
covered
to
in
your
blood.
aid
You
spell.
sliced through half.
I'm covered in blood.
Yeah.
That's in reference to your rage spell, aid spell. By the way, Gahlvin would not be up if you had not cast that spell.
Oh,
So
fucking
gonna
course,
leave
the
his-
bard gave you AIDS. God damn.
Gahlvin's gonna use one of those giants as a beanbag for a minute because he's not looking great. You can't tell because he's covered in everyone's blood plus his, but you know.
Tally steps up
Let's
beside
get
you.
some information first,
Mm.
and then we can kill her. How about that?
As will be catching my breaths for the occasions.
Yeah, you might need.
He doesn't
do
want to sit
something
close enough to
about
listen and participate, but
Tally Bergen Davos, you stand before this revolting woman. Herc seems to be almost skittishly standing toward the back, you know, in some way traumatized by this woman over the course of years. Seems more timid around her than his kin. Gahlvin and Tyri likewise give you some space, not having much that they need for themselves. Information-wise, anyway. What do you ask?
Meta-wise, I mean, do we know anything about the conch other than they want it for some,
oh yeah, I
You
think
know-
we know that it will.
like, how it works?
Yeah,
what
you
it
know that
does?
the conch, when blown, will transport one person to Maelstrom, the undersea city that is the capital of the Storm Giants. You gather that you're going to have to collect many of these to be able to transfer the entire party to that location. But you get that it's just a matter of blowing it.
Okay.
Davos knows all about stats.
So does your mom.
As you we'll say that one of you by now has picked it up, and you can hear like the crashing of waves. It's not just like a normal seashell that you put to your ear and you sort of hear that sort of sound of the ocean. This actually sounds like crashing waves, blowing winds. There is the push and pull of the tide. It's soothing in a way, especially after in this dank and disgusting den. It's oddly refreshing.
Yeah, so like conch here goes over here. I'm like, oh, it's pretty cool. I can hear the ocean here and smell it over here.
Disgusting, but not inaccurate.
I mean, I don't really have any questions. It just feels like it could be a good interrogation.
Tally goes,
No.
sometimes the simplest question is, what do you know? And seeing what they spill.
What do you know? I say awkwardly.
You're just gonna outright ask her? She spits at you.
What are your plans
She goes,
with this conch?
the conch is how I was getting down to Maelstrom, back when Hecatan was still Anam's chosen. But all that, it's out the window. I planned never to use that thing again, was gonna hide it away until I was ready to become queen. Gotta get
How's that?
I gotta get bigger. Gotta eat more and more until I am the biggest of all the giants. And then Anam will recognize me as the true heir and make the hill giants the top of the ordering.
Because
So the pecking order is determined by size?
She believes, you gather. And you spoke briefly with this to Zephyros and Harshnag, that every giant lord has their own mindset of how they become
yes.
the top, the creme de la creme. There's no structure to the ordering. It was divinely written eons ago. So there's not like a rule book on how to get to the top. They all think that if they please Anam through these various ways, that they will be elevated to that status.
And she's still not like taller than Harshnag, right? I understand she's round as fuck.
She's round
but
as
she's-
fuck. She's not taller than Harshnag, no. In fact, compared to the giants you've seen, Davos especially, while she's probably not too much shorter than the stone giant that you encountered. She's, her mass makes up for it. Stone giants are lean, trim, muscular. This is just bulk, and
Disgusting.
fat, and flab. Yeah. And smaller than Harshnag, you would all know, and Zephyros.
What is this Melthrum's? Goldbrand's asked, leaning against the corpse of her husband.
Y'all don't fucking listen for shit. I told you, it's Hecaton's court. Do you understand what I am saying? No.
The sea rocks is the only ways theirs?
Well, quickest way for sure. I ain't going out there to take a dip in that big old blue pond.
Do you know where
Are
any
there
others
taken
are?
for the natural wildlife out there?
Bergen first. Other giant lords are?
Oh, no, other
Conches?
conches.
He goes, Hecaton gave all the giant lords one so that we might visit him when he calls us to be dictated or ordered or whatever nonsense he had to spew. That means
What if we
Calithica
were
got
able to-
one, the Duke Zalto got one, Jarl Storvold's got one, and Countess Sansuri's gotten.
We only know one of those names, right?
You were told
party
all of
of
them,
those?
sort of independently.
Okay.
You've never, I don't think any of you have ever met any of those forces that you're aware of anyway. But
I thought Zat had talked about.
he had talked about Zalto, yeah. That is correct. He's the only one who does know, for sure, a giant lord.
Oh, okay. But we have heard the names. Like, we could
Correct.
put together which one was which.
Yeah.
Well, if we could help you, could you help us? If we could help you become the new ruler of the giants, would you tell us how to defeat Hecaton?
It's been
Do
some
you
time,
have any?
so I'll refresh you. You're not actually trying to fight Hecaton. Hecaton was the reason that the giants were benevolent, for the most part, towards humans. He made it illegal, basically, for the giants to go out and attack settlements. Now, if humans wander around in their territory, they're welcome to fuck them up, but they can't go out and raid like they have been the past few months.
The oracles told us that we need to make sure that this Hecatons gets back on his thrones.
Well, good for fucking you.
Wasn't stockings to use, you fat bitch.
She grumbles and tries to flash around. Actually, while she's struggling, you all hear a gasp of breath coming from her,
Oh no.
but not her. As you watch this small green arms come forward and pry itself out. And you see the most traumatized looking goblin you've ever seen in your life, crawling his way out of her fat rolls, and just collapses beside her, exhausted. And upon noticing you, tries to scamper away, unless you guys decide to intervene. Actually,
Poor thing.
when he gets out, Gert tries to grab him, and I'm gonna do a quick thing just to see if she gets him. This will be her.
So say Goldbrand's considering throwing a javelin, but I don't think it would be.
She tries
I
to
just
come
pull out
back
a
here.
notebook.
She tries to
pull out
grab
a
onto him get back here, you son of a... But it can't quite grab him in her precarious position. And the goblin, unless otherwise desired, tries to scamper out through the side door.
Did you even know that was there?
I was saving it for later, you...
I used to live with bears, and this one is disgusting.
Gotta
I don't
get
think
big
you'll get any
somehow.
argument here. Yeah, well, you have no one left to help you get any bigger.
There are.
Well, it's a little easier. I know that Hecaton's wife done kicked the bucket, so that's one less giant to get bigger than.
Ooh.
What you guys don't know yet.
Hecaton's wife.
We do now.
She's told us Hecaton's wife kicked the bucket.
Aren't we
Yikes.
trying to find... trying to remember. Like, we were asking questions when we were in the chamber where we only had 5 questions. All that we were trying to find out.
Mhm.
We could try re-asking. Unfortunately, I can't remember off the top of my head.
Oh, I have those. Hold on. You want to? I shouldn't take me just a second
Like,
to find
who
that.
Some of them
did
were-
questions.
whatever it was
Yeah,
they
you were trying to
figure out?
ask who are your enemies, who or how to restore Hecaton, which he told you you had to find him, had to return him to his throne with the scepter.
Somebody took him. Yeah.
They believe he
right.
was kidnapped somewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're not sure by the Oracle could not discern by who.
Correct.
So that's what I would ask. Who took Hecaton, or does she know who took?
I don't
Hecaton.
fucking know. All I know is that some small folk done killed his wife, and he went to go and act fury and went missing.
A
What kind of
child
small
killed the queen of the giants.
Well, I imagine it was several of them. I mean, fuck, 6 of y'all done wiped out half my goddamn force here.
That counts as twos.
So adventurers.
Well, I don't fucking know. I wasn't there. That's what Hecaton was going to find out.
Do you have any contacts with the other giants lords?
Shoot, no. They're all uppity sons of bitches think they're better than me.
I don't know why they would think that.
Just
Roll a
two
deception
Davos,
check.
like two Davos, like kind of under his breath. He's like, "Well, judging by her performance, here's their fucking rights."
Right. Once you're in Maelstrom, after blowing the conch, how do you get back?
Well, you blow it a fucking again. Fucking small folk don't know shit.
Yeah. It's hard to think with your intoxicating presence.
Corban's gonna use his axe to stand up.
That's the fermented vegetables I got stored away under here. Got some peaches that are probably pretty damn ripe by now. And she tries to reach under one of her rolls, but can't quite get to him.
I'm going to chop her hands
It's
off
very
first.
kind of you.
Surprisingly
Mine's-
civil interrogation from Davos.
It really is. We might want to. I don't know what I was trying to say. We might want to be quick about this. There were more giants underneath us.
As you say that, she screams in pain. Not like a cry for help, but like actual genuine pain. And she looks startled and around. And those of you who are further back next to the other hole, you see the butcher and the two other hill giants in the basement with their clubs just wailing on her. Hit after hit after
Those
hit, beating her like a piñata, furiously striking her exposed lower region for moments until she effectively bottoms out, and a loud splat with several thick, wet thuds can be heard from below as her eyes grow dim. The folds of fat along the sides of the pit begin to draw in with a sickening before her overflowing skin drags into the circle and her body plummets the 30-odd feet down to the pen below. Immediately, the hogs squeal in glee and a feeding frenzy erupts. Sound of snapping bone and tearing flesh are irrevocably embedded into your minds.
Might be a good idea to leave nows.
Did she kill the other giants? Did she land on them?
No. If you look down, you see the butcher and the two other giants, and they're all covered in blood now. And they look up to you. Relatively stoic. Unfazed. And then
That's
turn
the most
away
disgusting thing I've ever seen.
and begin walking back deeper into the dam.
Those bastards stole my kills.
Who picked up the conch?
Bergen asked
Sure,
about it.
did.
I was about
He
to say,
did. Yeah, Bergen did.
Bergen, when you're up there, you notice that while a lot of this pile is trash and refuse, has quite a bit of good stuff in it. You see a fine
it's
pair of
massive.
gauntlets that seem undirtied. A ring. You see a rope that also seems oddly pristine for just being rope. Several copper pieces, silver pieces, gold pieces. A disguise kit. A wooden coffer containing 6 vials of holy water. 5 gemstones worth 100 gold each. A gold flute. And a large, intricately carved planting pot. Carved from jade, with images of shimmering green dragons coiling around its circumference. And when you pick that up, Gahlvin immediately steps forward. That belongs to my master. While I respect that you liberated me, I must ask for it. It has a purpose that still needs to be fulfilled.
Sure.
No argument from Davos.
From Bergen.
Bergen, God.
From Bergen.
Words are hard, y'all. Y'all got a lot of shit out of this. You
The
got
use wants me to shake Sims down for coins for use. He asked Bergen. Maybe not necessarily right then, but
Shake Gahlvin
Yeah.
down?
mm-hmm.
No.
if you look at him,
Yeah.
he's not wearing much. He's literally at this point tattered loincloth, scraps of clothing, not really any armor. And you gather that he's been imprisoned for some time. While technically you wouldn't know this until you identify them, I will tell you the gauntlets are gauntlets of ogre power, meaning they make your base strength score 19. So if you're a strength-based character, that would give you a pretty big boost. The
Or if
ring
you're not
is a ring of water walking, and the rope, when you pick it up, begins to climb itself up to the ceiling. It's a rope of climbing that ascends itself up to 30 feet. Along with a fuck ton of coin and the rest of the shit we talked about.
So,
If
I
you
do have
give
a question
Yeah.
about the gauntlets, are they considered armor? Does it say on them heavy armor, light armor? Like,
I wouldn't consider them armor because they don't provide you with AC. It technically says adventuring gear.
okay,
Yeah.
so that's what.
Gahlvin, now that he has his pot, which is quite large. I mean, you don't know what was supposed to be planted in here, but it's a very beautiful, ornate piece. And he says, I appreciate it. I have plans to take this north, to the Evermore. It must be swift.
Looks out for that big black dragons.
Before you go, I gotta ask, since nobody else, how the hell did you move her?
Well, I suppose you have freed me. But as he begins to say that, you hear a voice cry out from deeper within the dungeon, further past this doorway here. Help!
Human
Please!
voice?
They killed that bitch! Please come help me!
Not in giant.
Not in giant. It's in common. Sounds
Yeah, I'll
smaller
go
too.
check it out.
Okay.
Behind everybody else, because I only have 9 hit points.
As you push your friends forward, around the corner, you see that this is a filthy kitchen. The stone floor is covered with mud, dirty pots, leftover food, crawling with maggots. And in the center of the room is a crackling fire. And before that, tied to a spit, is a nearly nude halfling man. And the skin along his right side is scarlet red and seared and burned. Gahlvin and Tyri recognize him. And they say, Ah, yes, he was one of the other prisoners. I thought him to be dead by now. And
Looks like he was going to be Guz's barbecues.
surprised?
I mean, the fire's lit. I'm gonna hurry up and untie him, get him down.
Okay. He thanks you and oh, praise fucking Yondala. Thank you. My name is Roderick. I was a shepherd who was captured when these raided my village and oh, fuck. Been quite a fucking week. Please, anybody, do you have any means to tend to this? And he shows you his entire right side is just covered with blisters and burn marks, and his hair is singed, and he's in pretty rough shape. You gather that another hour or two he would have been barbecue.
Yeah, I don't know what I have.
I'll give
Oh,
him
yeah,
some
go ahead.
15 hit points and lay on hand so Bergen doesn't have to burn a spell.
Only do 5, because he's a commoner. He doesn't have a whole hell of a lot of hit points.
Alright.
So you perk him up and you watch as while the burns don't completely disappear, they fade as if they have healed significantly over the period of weeks. And he looks down at his hand and he goes, oh, thank you for that. Fuck. Please, do you know where they're keeping my sheep?
Oh. Colbrand jerks his thumb in the general direction. There were sheep pens downstairs.
Thank God. I'm gonna try to get my flock back and... Shit. can't go back home. They've destroyed it. I guess I'll go to Sycamber? Maybe Loudwater? I don't...
Welcome to Nightstone.
This comes with us. Yeah.
Basically!
And then Goldbrand will also look at the other two, and he'll says, I know you have something to do with that weird spot, but you're most welcome since Nightstone, I would assume. I guess as you can say is that's I have the fucking rings.
Yeah. Gahlvin and Tyri sort of look at you, and Tyri will say, no, I'm afraid I must return to my people. I was captured when I was trying to lead the hill giants. Oh, I'm sorry?
He said if they're even there, but it was kind of under his breath.
Yeah, fuck you. She says, I was captured trying to lead the hill giants away from the grandfather tree. As far as I know, and from what I have heard from them, they haven't found it yet. I do want to tell you, though, Goldbrand, if your stand has truly been raided, you must restore it, by whatever means necessary. I don't know what will come across the rift, but those mounds were integral in keeping this land safe from it. And when she does that, she bites the palm of her hand, and hard, and blood starts to seep from between her teeth. And she takes it, and she smears it across your chest in an arc. And she lowers her hand, still dripping blood, and says, thank you for showing me the mercy that not all rival Uthgard would have.
Audibly.
Goldbrand wants to waggle his eyebrows at Demos.
Oh, I'm sorry. Would you like some? And she takes a step towards you.
Does Goldbrand have any idea what that was?
Goldbrand would know that it's a sign of respect, a sign of appreciation,
Okay.
Gesture of gratitude.
I think in response to Goldbrand, he won't do his whole hand. He'll bite through the pad of his thumb and do like a smear over her forehead.
Okay. She.
Now y'all are blood brothers and sisters. You can't kiss your sister.
And Davos makes it move. As you're doing that, Gahlvin, since you invited him as well, will say, I'm afraid I have much to tend to. I know that I must return this up north before the rifts that you're speaking of can be reopened. And he turns to Tally and says that you have made a great... Freeing me, you have gifted Verde Zelen quite significantly. You have both of our respect, as does Zafuhiri. And Tally's not here, but as those two begin to make their exit, Tally feels like a deep, bassy purr almost, telepathically, that even though it's not actual sound, reverberates in his chest. And he smiles a bit, feeling that he did the right thing, that he was needed to. He does actually, Gahlvin does say one more thing before he goes. You, Uthgard, you did not tell me that you were blessed by the Gem Dragons. How did you come upon this?
I was not aware as I carries blessings from dragons.
I saw what you did.
Uh,
The rift that you opened to draw away your foes. Did you not know this is a gift of the Amethyst Dragon? One that I'm, well, not greatly familiar with. I have seen many a time.
knows this occasionally. Oh, how do I explain this? He taps the tablet he wears on his chest. Y'all seen him use before. He says, I use this to look. I use this in the night skies to peers into the futures. Sometimes there are glimpses of magics and abilities in these visions, and that is where I learns to do that particular things.
You think that your tablet taught you that? Mayhaps.
Yeah, like wizards and their tablets. Same thing.
But let me ask you this. And he pulls forth a psionic green arrow from nothing. Have you ever been struck by one of these? Or anything like it?
I think that's once it stuck me with a knife once. Jerks his
He
hand at the tally.
snaps his finger and it dissolves into a green dust. It is not uncommon for the psionic abilities to awaken things in others. This may have very well been something that you could have learned, but it is familiar to me, and that gives me pause. Take it for what it's worth. And unless anyone says anything, those two begin to make their way out through the entrance.
Sounds like it needs to let Tally stabs me some more.
I was going to say, are you suggesting that Tally magic poisoned them?
If Tally were here, he would tell you that when he first got the ability, he was cut by a knife, by one of these psionic knives. It was how it was gifted to him, in a weird way. And he didn't know. He doesn't know if, him striking Goldbrand accidentally in the middle of combat had any effect. But Goldbrand, you do remember that when he did it, you had a flash of prescience.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Just seems curious.
Seems not good.
Goldbrand's way too tired to put a whole lot of thought into that at the moment, but he has noted it.
Okay. If you guys walk out through the front entryway, Roderick sees the sheep and
Goldbrand
go ahead.
wants to do one more thing before they leave.
Okay.
I hate to derail you like this, but I'm going to do it. He wants to go to that cage where he would have seen the dire wolves, because bodies were here. So I assume against the body he would have seen the dire wolves.
Correct.
And he wants to take 10. Well, he wants to take 10 minutes to cast Speak with Animals.
Okay.
And see if he can talk with them. I don't know if they're beast or not.
I thought that would have been a natural ability.
Dire wolves, I'm fairly certain are, but I will pull it up to be sure.
He has to cast his original, so it takes him 10 minutes to do it.
It'll take your DM 10 minutes to look it up, so that's perfect. No, they are beasts.
Okay. Goldbrand sits on the ground, and I don't know what the components is for this, but he does something cool with his components. A chance for 10 minutes to cast Speak with Animals. What are the components?
You chew on the bark of a dogwood tree for 10 minutes.
It doesn't list components, so I like that. Goldbrand chews on some bark and chants for 10 minutes.
And when you open your mouth, your tongue is longer. Not human form, but almost like a dog's tongue would be. And it feels weird in your mouth, and your teeth feel sharper.
I just think his ears wiggle while he's talking to
you. It's an unusual sensation, and even your well, you don't have hair, never mind. I was gonna say the hair on the base of your neck.
Goosebumps.
Yeah, you while you're speaking and growling and yipping and snarling, your half of it is almost body language that you're mimicking. And you having done this several times and having spoken with bears and other creatures, it's not an entirely unfamiliar, sensation to you. But this is probably the first time you've spoken with a dire wolf specifically. What do you say?
So, I'll try not to take too much time. He'll say, we has a packs of our own. Are you at all interested in expanding into our packs? And he will give them a brief, he'll do his best to convey the idea that, they live in a town. They couldn't eat the people in the town, but by joining up with us, they would have access to A, travel with us, B, eat things in defense of the town. Kind of the same deal he struck with the octopus.
Yeah, the wolves seem hesitant. They are not comfortable with the concept of society. Even locked within this room, you gather that they're equal parts anxious and restless. And the bits of conversation that you get seem to indicate that they long for the forest. They long to return to their home, to their den, and once again join their pack. I will
extract
Sorry, go ahead.
Closest thing he could to a promise that if he turns that lever and lets them out, that they're not going to eat them.
Do me a favor, roll a persuasion check. I'll let you choose persuasion or animal handling. Wow. Okay. They do seem honest that they will not attack you, and while they eye the corpses around the room, they don't, seem to make you gather that they're not going to be hostile to you. With a 20, you gather that they almost seem they've been in this place a long time, a couple years perhaps. They don't know whether their pack is still out there, or if they're in the same area. And there's enough doubt there to where you think that you could convince them to live in the Ardeep forest, for example.
So, realizing that, getting that from their body language, Goldbrand would give them this hypothetical, if you will, is that he will mark them so that the people of Nightstone know not to hunt or shoot them, and they
How
can
are you marking
abide. He would probably try to find a cloth. Like, I like to think maybe he would find a way to tie something around them. Maybe he would shave parts of their fur. I'm not really sure. Maybe color it. I guess he might have dye as a herbalist. He could make dye.
Nightstone emblem.
Yeah,
he could brand them.
Dye them purple and red like your crest, and you'll be fine. Okay. We'll say that you gather up some scraps of cloth, and using some of the dried powders that you have, give it a purple and a red, and a sprinkling of a deep yellow, almost a gold color. And you bind it around their necks, like collars, but looser. Little doggy bandanas, if you will. And there's the question that they're sort of thinking is, we have no idea where to go. How are we to get to this place?
He can give them directions to the Ardeep. Well, I guess he flew here.
Gonna give them directions, like, yeah, head west. Thanks.
How do you give directions to a dog?
I
guess Goldbrand would have mentioned that they could fly there with him on the ship if they wanted to, but he's not going to be shy about the idea that like they'd have to get on a ship and fly.
They seem hesitant of that. Herc doesn't understand this, but you know that. I will say, while Gahlvin and Tyri were talking, he mentioned that he plans to go get his wife and then to likewise head to Nightstone.
He tells him to follow the giant.
Do you tell the giant that?
I will here in a second when I'm done talking. When I'm done being all blah blah blah.
Okay. You rolled a 20. Yeah. They seem, provided that they can hunt, and they will leave people alone. They will, as long as they can hunt deer and beast of the wood and smaller creatures, then they seem to be fairly content with that.
Goldbrand would like to warn them. He gestured to the two giants he killed that he did that, and that if they can't abide by the rules, he will come find them himself.
They seem to. Yes, sir.
And he'll say I am assuming I can go back and forth. Like, I don't have to just talk as a wolf. He'll say
if it's a little weird to talk in giant with your tongue and mouth situation, but you managed it well enough to be understood.
I just like to picture everyone looking at Goldbrand like, what the fuck, while he's sitting here. Yeah. He'll say, these twos has agreed to follows yous, and he gestures to Herc, backs to Nightstones, to abides in the different locations, not in the caves with yous. I'm going to release them, and I would suggest you all clears the buildings just in case.
When you say that, Tally is like, oh, well, he takes out the mirror and he alerts Daphne to tell her, that there will be a giant and a few direwolves arriving, likely after you guys return. But just to tell the townspeople, make sure they're aware that they are allies. And when you mention the caves with Herc, he goes, well, I don't know if they don't mind. I always wanted a doggy, normally good, everything that wandered around here, but me and the wife could take them,
I will leave that up to them. Goldbrand would relay that to them, but he's not really going to flip the switch to let him out until everybody kind of vacates. He's a little sketchy.
You actually watch as you're still sitting by the gate, Herc comes up and he sticks a hand through. And surprisingly enough, the wolves look at his hand. And you, since you still have this spell up, understand that he was one of the giants that was responsible for feeding them. So they already have a type of connection to him, for lack of a better word. And you gather that they will follow him, and he knows how to feed them and keep them happy, and the like.
No, with him being here, because he is a lot bigger than him, Goldbrand will go ahead and let him out because I kind of forgot he was there. He can handle them.
They
so to
are
speak, if
rather ravenous. They immediately set upon one of the hill giants, which Herc is a little unsettled by, but let's them eat. And he says, "Y'all head on out. I'll let them get their fill, and I'll follow you out. I'll head that way." As you guys exit the main entryway, Roderick looks down and sees this literally 100 sheep in these multiple pens. And he's like, "Fucking shite! I only had 30. I guess they've been doing this for quite some time." He goes down and looks at the pens, and he's able to identify, oddly enough, which ones are his. And they're all in a pen together. And he opens it up, and he takes one of he takes a stick that was left by the orcs and begins to lead his flock and goes, "Well, what about me? Am I, you've invited me to your city. Am I to walk along the road? Do you have room in your ship for 30 sheep?"
Do we have room in the cargo hold?
You guys could gather. It might be an uncomfortable journey, but you could probably fit them all on there. The 30 anyway,
Guess that would
not
be
the
up
100.
to the captains.
Mhm.
Goldbrand wants to try to lean on Davos's head, do one of these numbers.
I'll allow it.
Thank you, Mr. Picard. Right. You guys head back to the airship. And while Taji is surprised to see the flock of sheep that you're leading, as well as the giant and the wolves and the two strangers that are now bidding their farewell, Gahlvin heads northward. Tyri heads east towards the high forest. And Taji welcomes the shepherd aboard, and you watch as Nessa begins to work on his wounds a little more, casting what is essentially a restoration spell to remove the scarring and stuff. Surprisingly calm ride as you guys ascend up and head westward. Many of you on the deck use the sheep for pillows. They seem, while they were skittish at first when the ship first lifted, once you're cruising, they seem to settle down and rest. And along the way, Goldbrand,
Oh no, I'm scared.
you are resting upon the upper deck, leaning on 3 or 4 or 5 sheep that have sort of grouped around you.
Sheep bed.
Yeah, they smell all the herbs on you, and you fed them some of the less important grasses and stuff that you have, and given them a little, little road snack. And Kaya approaches. Tally is here too, but Tally's not here, so.
She's the one that gave me lip about prescience.
She is correct. This is the drow. She goes, "I couldn't help but notice." That's not her voice. "I couldn't help but notice that you had another Uthgard in your company. It was a tree ghost, was it not?"
Almost said da. Yeah.
You would know that it's odd that she knows that. With your passive insight, it's not a common thing to recognize Uthgard by the tribe for outsiders, but especially a tree ghost that are rather reclusive and hidden and thought to be extinct by many people.
How's do you evens knows that's names?
She lets a chuckle out and lifts up her hands, and as she does, the bangles that she wears on her wrist sort of fall. And you see that tattooed around her forearm are dozens and dozens and dozens of black feathers, which you recognize as symbols of the Black Raven tribe. She tells you that she was raised by the Black Raven Uthgard. She's only half drow, and that she is a war child who was, her father impregnated her mother on a raid, and when she was born, the mother wanted nothing to do with her. And as a young child, perhaps only 3 or 4, she left this child to the wilderness. That she wandered for 10 days, searching through woods and trees and living off just the scraps she could find, the few edible fruits, hiding in the trees when she could, until she was discovered by them, by their starkeeper, who they call the Moonwing. She tells you that she was raised for many years by them, but when she came of age and she began to manifest powers, things that made the Uthgard uncomfortable. And she takes a deep breath and closes her eyes, and she exhales. And as she does, 2 plumes of flame come from her nostrils. And when she opens her eyes, they're slitted, and it fades a bit. And she says, "Everyone on this ship has a dragon god that they call their patron. But not everyone on this ship has the blood of the dragon running in them. While my mother was a drow, further up her family line, there are ancient ties. And that is what gives me my abilities." She tells you that when these powers manifested, the Uthgard became fearful of her, made her a pariah, exiled her. She says
They did not make you a Starkeepers.
She shakes her head. While the Moonwing was a champion of mine who defended me against their attacks, he was overruled by the chief, as well as many of the elders. I recognize what you do from what I learned from him, but I do not partake myself. I should tell you, I do have one valuable bit of information that you should know. That Raven Rock is not whole. That years ago, high in the western peaks of the spine of the world, the frost giants stole a relic there. She doesn't know what they did with it, why they took it.
But she knows the Frost Giants took it.
She knows that the frost giants took it.
This is good information for me to have. I appreciate you sharing it with me. It is important that the stands are put back, that these things that are taken from the stands are returned, or perhaps even that new items are created to take their place. I do not imagine they will all survive this event.
She asks, "What do you mean by this event?"
Giants has no kings no more. They stumble across land to cause lots of panics. We're trying to fix it. That is why your silvery god sent you to help us, I guess.
You said silvery god?
Mm-hmm. Because the leader said they were sent by Bahamut.
He said that he was sent by Bahamut.
And I assume they're all sent by Bahamut.
As you look around, and you realize this a bit when you first got on board, 2 of them have symbols that you recognize. Not the symbol of Bahamut, but the symbol of Lendis, the god of justice that you know that Kava worships, the goddess of mercy that Akira worships. One of them has her symbol. And when you say that you were sent by the silver dragon, she goes, "Every one of us was chosen, assembled, if you will, and doing so to do the will of the dragon gods. We do not all serve one patron, but nearly all of the pantheon. The good side of the draconic pantheon, anyway. You'd be wise to remember that." What?
Like, when you say good side, your girlfriend's over here like they're bad dragon gods? I don't even want to know.
I would say even the Uthgard have heard of Tiamat, the evil dragon goddess.
Queen of Darkness herself.
Yeah, and all of you are fairly aware that in the last 5-10 years, a cult tried to resurrect her, bring her back, but were thwarted in part by Force Grave, which Harshnag was a part of.
Don't say it's harsh things. It hurts my souls.
I know. Oh God, me too, buddy. She dips her head a bit, and you seem to be on the up and up, and on the right side of this. And obviously, you have the confidence of our patrons. Take the information for what it's worth, and just keep in mind if you have questions. We are not merely the crew of a ship. We're wise, powerful, experienced. You'd do well to remember that. And with a bit of a flourish, she begins to ascend the mast back up to the crow's nest to resume her spotting.
After that little bit of attitude, Goldbrand's gonna briefly wander around and look for Davos to find his flask.
No, now you want his flask. You got your own motherfucking flask, but you want fucking Davos's flask.
Well, I left my flask with Davos.
Oh, is that what you said? You handed it to me?
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No, that like earlier when he was talking about that, he literally just handed you his flask and walked off because he did, that's what.
You also have a half
barbarians do.
keg of ale that I imagine you guys nurse to
Goldbrand's-
completion.
yeah. Sounds great.
The flask is a fine piece of camaraderie. I'm more than happy for it. But to make sure there's enough going around, there's still that half barrel that's floating around.
Maybe he'll get one of those jugs of table wine that he bought.
Yeah,
Slurp, slurp.
that's good. You guys continue on your journey. The day draws to a close. The next day comes, still in flight.
Long rest.
You can take your long rest.
Hell yeah, Goldbrand doesn't look like shit anymore.
He still looks like shit, but he's not bleeding as much.
Exactly.
Very sore.
The next day, the sheep are antsy. They seem eager to get off of the ship. There's no grass here to properly feed them. And the crew was not prepared to feed 30 fucking animals. So the sheep are getting a little hungry. But as the second day begins to draw into the afternoon, you spot a familiar sight on the horizon. Within the bend of an offshoot of the Delambir River, you see Nightstone. The ship lands. You make your way off. Roderick, rather impressed with the, when you said you were lords, I thought you were kind of fucking with me, but damn. All right.
Goldbrand's like,
He begins leading the sheep. The sheep immediately exit and begin just tearing into the fields around Nightstone. And he goes, "I'll let them get their fill. And do you have a place for them? Is there a pen or something that I could keep them in tonight, or forevermore?" And you're right. You do not have a vacant pen. Something to bring to the purple one's attention.
pink one.
Pink one, you are correct. I'm sorry. Too many fucking tieflings. I did this to myself. As you guys continue into the town, you see Daphne, 285, and Sadiri, once again, there to welcome you. Daphne, welcome back, my lords. It is a pleasure to see you once again. I see you have brought new allies, and this is an excellent addition. We are a growing city. It is important to have new sources of food, and cloth, and trade. I do have some things
That's
to...
exactly what we were thinking.
What?
That's exactly what we were thinking.
The wisdom of the lords is very evident. I do have some things to bring you abreast upon. Developments, if you will. I should have
Calm
you know.
down, Goldberg.
You guys are abreast. Yeah.
I don't know if you could see. I was waggling my eyebrows.
With this, you guys are on the last day of Pythorn. So you've completed now 3 months of adventures. She tells you that tomorrow she expects to collect Flame Rule's taxes. Flame Rule being the month, also known as the Summertide. Sort of the June, first opening of summer. And she tells you that we expect to collect taxes of 775 gold, but one individual is paying a bit less than normal. Tux, the merchant at the Lionshield Coster, while there has been increased foot traffic, he has not been able to make much of a profit this month. She also tells you that the blacksmith that you have upgraded will be ready tomorrow. Finished tonight, actually. and that tomorrow you will have to make plans for whatever you desire to build next. She tells you that Riker returned while you were away. He said that he was unable to find your people in the areas that you told him they were migrating in, and that while he searched for 50 moons, he cannot continue to search forever. He must return to his people, and he made his way northward. Waterdeep received your notice of Harshnag's death, and a day of mourning was held within the city for the fall of the legendary frost giant. The city itself was rather impressed with you and your connection to Harshnag. The development of Nightstone under this leadership, the Lords of Waterdeep elected to offer trade with you. Lumber and stone, the cost of 300 gold a month. It will take some of our men to continue collecting these things, but we could still have them working on collection and building at the same time. Building a single structure at the same time. And last but not least, she tells you that I'm rather surprised to hear that Taliban informed me a few giants would be joining us in the Dripping Caves. Is this correct?
That is.
And you
They
are...
helped us out. So to repay them, we gave them safe haven. And inform all the civilians not to freak out and just stay away from there.
Dripping Caves is several hours away, though, right?
Not several. It's about 3 miles away, I think. So about an hour's walk. Not very far.
Okay. Not super far for a giant, though.
No, yeah. And she seems apprehensive, but if you lords trust them, then I will let the people know that they are safe, but to give the caves a fair bit of distance. 285, who is just like super excited. It's only been a few days since you guys left, but he tells you like, Daphne, can I tell him? Daphne sighs a bit and gestures him to go on, and 285 goes, so I was talking to Daphne, and she says that if I want to be a knight, that first I gotta become a squire, and I gotta learn some things. But I already know how to care for horses and ride them. Godric taught me because you got me that job, which is cool. And you, Tally, taught me to throw knives, and you taught me how to fight Goldbrand, and you taught me to always aim for the neck. And he sort of spatters through everything that he's learned from you guys.
Seems like he knows more than you, Goldbrand.
The Fox is a squire? He's gonna ask that quietly. Like, he doesn't really want to hear... well, he wouldn't have any idea.
Yeah, well, Daphne will explain. Well, for many of the cities, it is not uncommon to have knights, noble warriors, not unlike the first claws and first fangs of your people. You see, these men and women are defenders of the city, honored, respected. But before they can attain that rank, they must go through a particular type of schooling, if you will. They must learn to read and write, to fight with many different types of weapons, wield armor, arrows, bows, tending and repairing weapons. And all of these things can be provided for the boy, of course. So I would be more than happy to teach him how to read and write in common, and if he excels at it, we may try to tackle an additional language. Is this something that you would like the boy to undergo?
Be a shame not to.
285. Yes, I knew they would say yes. And
I still understand all these schoolings, but
what do you
if
not
this
understand?
If this is how first things are trained, then we'll do what we have to do. This is how first things are trained in children's homes.
She tilts her head a bit.
If I
am confused. What do you not understand about the schooling?
He never went to school.
Yes, read and writes for what purposes? Is this not better to is it not better who throws him into the Ardeep's forest for a week and sees if he comes back?
She looks a little shocked, but goes, well, we were going to have Rond teach him archery, so he will be spending some time in the forest, learning to prepare and defend himself accordingly. But reading and writing are rather important for the world's, especially for a position of this rank. I'm quite surprised to hear that you do not know how to do it already. If you would like, I would be more than happy to give you lessons as well as Sir Talbot.
Let's say that Goldbrand's wise enough to realize he would have a lot of trouble learning to read and write. So he'll say, I am under the impression the lords have things read for them. So thinks I will pass on that, but thanks you.
She gives a chuckle and, you are more rights than you know. That's very well. And she sort of tilts her head. It is also not uncommon for warriors of this caliber to be introduced to different types of magic. See if they have any latent abilities that might be dormant. If we don't have many magic users here, I myself am very limited, and what I can do is only through years of study. It would be difficult for me to teach, but if any of you wish to show the boy a thing or two, I'm sure he would be delighted. And 285 is just, I want to learn the rock thing, and I want to learn how to put bitches to sleep like you do, and I want to learn how to, he just starts listing off some of your various abilities.
When you say bitches to sleep, I hope there's no nefarious meanings.
No. You gather, and he doesn't say bitches, you know. I don't know, y'all cuss a lot. He might say bitches. Give me a second.
I like the picture that like Daphne
bitches.
gives him a stern look, and he's like, Goldbrand taught me that word.
285, and she like pops him on the hand. He goes, what? That's what they say. They're bad guys. And you gather he's not doing anything nefarious. And
If I may be honest,
Hmm?
I think the sound of Lord or Knight 285 sounds a bit uncouth. Like Goldbrand here, I whisper to him. So how about, you come up while you're learning with a new name for yourself. A knightly name.
you mean like a different title, like Fire Master or Dragon's Bane or something like that?
Well, those are typically names for like weapons.
I am a
And you're a
weapon, and
bit
he like
more of
holds.
a
You
tool.
actually, I wanted to
You're
do
a bit
this.
more of a
So
tool.
you watch him. He like takes out the dagger that Tally gave him, and he like stabs the air a little bit, and he kind of like doesn't do a backflip, but like rolls backwards, and he throws it toward the wall, and nat 20. I can't really. I know you can't really see that, but bloop, little wolfie, nat 20. And does a pretty he splits one of the logs of the palisade. Granted, not a thick log, it's only a few inches wide, but the knife embeds itself in there, and he goes, "Oh shit, I hit it!" and gets excited and goes over and actually has trouble pulling the knife out, but
No, like a name, like Goldbrand, Davos,
You need
Tally,
a real name,
Daphne.
Childs.
you want
You can't be the numbers your whole lives.
to give me a name? I get to pick my name?
Yeah, pick it. I mean, we're not your masters. We shouldn't give you one.
And you hear
during
him like
your
mumbling
training.
under his breath, like Blaze, Razor, Nightfang, and it's just like a 10-year-old kid would do.
We'll work on it.
Yeah.
We'll work on it.
I think maybe the Lady
Frankenstein.
Daphne should help you.
And she goes, "We will review some classical names from many different cultures and see if anything jumps out at him. In the meantime,
Sounds
if you
great.
think of anything yourselves, I'm sure he'd be happy to hear it. There's one other thing I wanted to do with this.
Devin can't
Okay.
think of any, but Goldbrand would just spit out names from like Uthgar
His tribe.
history.
Oh yeah,
Or
imagine it's a
just,
lot of like
Uthgar mythological figures in general.
Actually, there's like a large overlap with astrology, like kind of like Sirius and Ursa and Scorpius, and just these cool sounding names that he seems all about. You see him sort of soaking it in. Fuck, there was one other thing I wanted to do with this, and I didn't write it down, so I'm a fool. But Daphne tells you that you're welcome to return to the keep, and that tomorrow she'll ask you what you wish to do as far as building plans. But she does want to know if you're staying for a while, or if you plan to head out soon.
Sounds like we
I
should
would
have
like to
Sluethe
go
Fires.
speak.
One more time, Brandon.
I wanted to go speak with Tux and find out what was going on. I
Okay.
do have a pretty good persuasion ability.
Yeah. Why don't we take
Oh.
take 10, and then we'll come back and pick it up.
Sounds good.
Good, because I've got about 2 of these in me, and they gotta come up. All right.
Same.
See y'all in a second, dudes.
Right.
All right, bitchachos. Everybody here?
Only bitchosity here is you.
Yeah, we have a burger now too. All right, my dudes. Okay, yeah, we'll take care of this before. All right. When we last left off, Davos said that he wanted to go speak with Tux. So you guys make your way to the Lionshield Coster. And since we're officially in Nightstone, let me change the map over. I'm sorry. I have a bad habit of moving my map without moving y'all's. Here we go. All right, once more within the city. You make your way to the Lionshield Coster. And inside you see a taller elven woman who's rather sweet, and you recognize as a member of the newly freed. Oh, damn it, that's what it was. I'm sorry. I'm going to back up. We're going to do some time shifting here. Go back 10 minutes to when you were talking to 285. He tells you that, by the way, since the newly freed are like, you know, not newly freed anymore. I mean, we've been here for a couple of months. We've decided that we need to rebrand. So instead, we're calling ourselves the Liberated. Well, I'm calling us the Liberated, but I'm thinking it's going to catch on.
Perhaps so. I was thinking about your name, 285. And
Toussaint
in
8th and 5th.
Elvish. In Elvish, we have a name, Diarmathor, and it means great warrior.
Diarmathor.
Or I
Right.
think the human equivalent was something Gideon, if that would suit you better.
Gideon. No, I like that. I like that a lot. Gideon.
Roll it over in the old noggin for a little bit.
What was the other one?
Diarmathor. It's a Daermae Thor.
Devon's all about
No, both of those are cool. Yeah. Good pulls, good pulls.
Gideon or Gilgamesh or any.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Nothing Gilgamesh.
Yeah, it's a little... It's a pretty tough name
that's
for a scrawny 110-pound boy.
I know, right? We're
We'll go
here to
into it.
defeat Gilgamesh.
And-
Oh, hey guys.
And yeah, exactly. And in
So glad to be here.
and in speaking of thin, I mean he's thickening up. You can tell, and Daphne will tell you that he's been doing the drills that you showed him, and that he often spars with the older drow boy, not Inwis, that's the girl, but that they spar occasionally and wrestle, and you know, while the drow is a little older, 285, you know, gets his fair share of wins out of it. But okay, fast forwarding back to where we left off. You guys walk in and you see a tall, lithe, thin elvish woman, whose name is going to be
The suspense
Sylvie.
is killing me.
Sorry, yeah, Sylvie.
Sylvie.
Yeah, Sylvie is the high elf woman who her husband was killed and he was a merchant. They were traveling merchants together. She was captured, and she has been helping Tux since she moved into Nightstone. And she tells you, "Oh, my lords, what a welcome treat this is. Please come on in. What can I help you with here at the Lionshield Coster?"
We were hoping to speak with Tux. No offense.
Oh, no, but of course. I believe he's at the inn at the moment. I could have 285, and he scampers through and like, go fetch Tux for me. He scampers his way up to the inn. She says, could I help you with anything? Is there something related to the shop that I could assist you with, or anything you would like to know, or goods you would like to browse?
How's business been?
And she kind of tilts her head to the side a bit. It's been a rough couple of weeks. You know, with the Golden Knight Road finished, Tux ordered a good bit of goods that he thought we would be able to sell and make a good bit of profit on. But in truth, business has slowed. It's weird. I have my suspicions as to why, but no facts to base them in.
Would you mind sharing those suspicions? Just curious.
Roll a persuasion check.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Our bard persuasion. Nat one.
Silver
nat
tongue.
One, nat one. Solid. She sort of gives a heavy sigh and she goes, "Well, I don't mean to sound critical of your leadership by any means. Just bear that in mind. A couple of weeks ago, a merchant came from Daggerford who you allowed to set up shop, as is your right as Lord.
Knew it.
Same.
And he's undercutting our prices."
Motherfucker.
I specifically said no salmon.
I feel like these two are like, oh shit, Goldbrand's sitting here like, I don't understand. What's the significance of this?
I don't cut her off. I continue to listen.
Well, and that she says the merchant must have an inn in Daggerford because he's selling his goods often cheaper than she can get them in. And they've tried negotiating with people from Daggerford and Secumber and Waterdeep, but Daggerford is by far the closest city. It's only a day away, where Waterdeep is 3 or 4 and Secumber is almost 5 back the other direction. And she tells you that it's frustrating, and I could tell that it's not. What's what I'm looking for here? It gives Tux a lot of anxiety, but he doesn't know what to do about it. However, you lords did give him merely a 2-week period of which to stay, and that will be up by the end of this week. If you are asking my opinion, I would say to not renew him. But again, I leave that to your judgment. It's also he has finer wares in some instances. While we sell largely the same stock, he comes into magical artifacts, and he has a few at the moment that I believe he's looking to sell. Nothing that Tux can really afford to carry, but if we were to improve upon the shop and do some investments, I believe we could start to carry these items.
I'm just thinking of a few solutions.
Kill him.
We could
No.
I likes this one.
I'll drop a picture in chat. I don't know if you guys remember this chick or not.
And I guess I kind of say this to the group as well. I was thinking we could either make sure that they don't sell the same items.
Mhm.
That way, at least both places would still get some business. Like item shops versus magic shops.
Mhm.
Or if you guys would
It's like
be
a
willing
librarian.
to work together, opening up, like you said, the Lionshield Coster to include a new merchant.
She goes, well, that would be a decision for Tux and not for myself. And about the time she says that, 285 comes around the corner. And it's funny, 285 is an adolescent, to most of you, probably about shoulder height, maybe a little lower. To Goldbrand, probably closer to like your abdomen. But not a short boy by any means. But Tux, who is the gnome merchant, wanders in after him and is quite stout. He goes,
4-2.
my friends, thank you. But my lords, what do you grace the Lionshield Coster today?
As we were just mentioning to Sylvie, we were seeing how business was going.
And you see
She
the
tells us that the new merchant in town is giving you a little trouble.
as soon as you mention the merchant, like Sylvie like tenses a bit, and Tux's face goes from like happy to see you to sort of stern. He goes, yes, he has been a thorn in my side for sure. I don't understand how he does it and still turns a profit. He must have an inn somehow. Either that or nefarious means, but perhaps that is just my skepticism getting the best of me.
Did you, perchance with less business, keep an eye on him for a day and try to find out anything?
I did try to keep an eye on him, and I've tried to speak with some of my regulars, but many of them have gone to him and, whether it be out of shame or guilt, have been avoiding me, as of late. It's frustrating. It's difficult to... Most of the goods we sell are for the people of the town themselves, common folk, not the caliber of stuff that you lords might expect, but it is frustrating to be have a history here and to be effectively blocked out of my own business.
I completely understand, and we're looking to restore it.
Oh,
And,
that would be fantastic. No, that would do me a world of good. And even as he says this, while his eyes are kind of sallow and he still looks exhausted, like a man who's had several sleepless nights recently, there's a glint in his eye that, a glint of hope.
Did you notice if, like, who he ever see his shipments come in? Anybody that stands out that has come to see him
No,
regularly?
He typically does get shipments 3, maybe 4 times a week. Always sends them back with a parchment of what he wishes to order next. It sometimes is different drivers, not always necessarily the same individual, but they are rather regular. It's odd, sometimes I will put in a request to Daggerford and it could take me 3-4 days before I hear anything back, let alone get all the goods I requested, but within a day or two he seems to have everything he requests.
So you find items you ordered missing or not arriving when they would normally?
Not missing per se, but if I request, let's say, 100 arrows, they might only be able to spare 50. I won't get they'll tell me that in the delivery and I'll be charged accordingly. It's not as if it's disappearing between here and the city, but
And it's always been this way. Always taken this amount of times to get theirs.
more often than not. It's about a day's ride to Daggerford, so a day to get there, a day to get back, sometimes a day or two to process. But for him, it's almost every other day he has a merchant or a cart arriving.
Goldbrand wants to say this quietly to Davos to say, I have some thoughts on these Dawnbringers, but there's not to be discussed here.
Agreed. Well, Tux, we won't keep you any longer. It was good to see you again, and we will be in touch soon with what we resolved.
Goes, oh, thank you, my
Just
lords.
knows
Can I interest you in anything while you're here? Do any of you need rope or ball bearings or and just begins listing through a lot of these rather mundane items that he has.
Do you have any alcohol?
Technically no. He only has stuff on the adventure gear table, which if you look in the game notes, if you look in Strongholds and Followers and scroll up to
Are there any Strongholds and Followers? I thought that was...
If you go to the
Adventuring
Stronghold
gear table was player's handbook.
Well, what I'm saying is if you go to the Strongholds and Followers chat, there is a link to that table next to his picture. And it doesn't technically have alcohol. That's something I consider more of a the bar, the innkeep. But he tells you he has arrows, bolts, things for some minor arcane casting. He has acid and a few flasks of alchemist fire, ball bearings, backpacks. It's quite an extensive list.
Because acid is something that can be used in alchemy, like often as a component. Yeah. Goldbrand will buy a couple of vials of acid.
Okay. A couple meaning 2?
Let me see here. How much they cost? He'll buy 4, 100 gold pieces.
Well, they're 30 gold for Tux. 30 gold.
That's fine.
Okay, so 120.
Anyway.
We dropped that in chat, minus 120 gold plus 4 vials of acid. And he thanks you very almost about falling over himself, thanking you, and he immediately takes 10 of those gold pieces. 10? It's been 2 weeks. He takes 5 of those gold pieces and hands them to Sylvie, and she thank you, and tucks it away, and you gather that he has been unable to pay her properly in the last few weeks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perhaps we should retreat to quieter places.
Yeah.
Indeed. As you guys make your way up to the keep, you run into Valkyr, who is overjoyed to see you guys, and sort of, he tells you more of the mundane gossip and what he's been up to, and mostly it's debauchery. He's enjoying the title of Lord and lounging about and getting most things at his beck and call. He's a little thicker than he was when you last saw him. I wouldn't say fat, but he's put on a couple pounds.
Still got skinny chicken legs.
Oh yeah.
and well, that's what the ladies like you. Go ahead.
That was just when we first met Stefan. I teased him about having chicken legs, and he did squats for like weeks after. It was very funny.
You almost see that little spark of determination, like, all right, come on back next week. Let's see how I look. All right. If
I have a mission for Valkyr.
Oh yeah, what you got, mate?
I would share what we're dealing with Tux and the new merchant, and I would tell Valkyr
to kill him.
No.
You know, just to go in there blast him.
I mean, he has a point.
Me and Bergen are worried that the Zentarum might be behind this, much like the woman we ran into when we first came into Nightstone.
Yeah, kill a Dark Hope. He goes, that fucking bitch.
Right.
No, now that you mention it, you're right. She was talking about how that's how they get the nails into a place. They drive the other businesses out. It does sound something like that. Well, yeah, I'll keep an eye on it.
It is.
And
I'm gonna walk over and like grab Tally's shoulder and like reach around him into the bag to get the journal out that they have.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Her
yes,
journal.
And he'll pull that out. He'll sling. I have the notes for that if we want to actually read it. But
they're also in the game notes chat.
He says this agrees with what you're all saying, Zais. I was told what is in this. Obviously, I can't read this myself, but I also think that
I could help you with that. You hear as Daphne like wanders into the library.
Goblin does like this to the rest of the group without saying anything. And he says, I believe one of two things could be possible. The organizations you are speaking of is behind this, and he waves this, and he says, this could help us with that. Or the merchants is the same as Osvius. He is here to undermine us for delay these Daggerfords. Maybe it's both.
Valkyr goes, all right, yeah. I'll talk to Sadiri too. Try to get a guard or two posted in the square and keep an eye on him.
I mean, I have the plans. Sort of.
Yes.
I can't count shinies, but if we have enough shinies, can we not go buys this merchant's out and tells him to get lost? He sold all his things. He has no reasons to be here.
Well, you can, man, but I think he's getting more goods all the time. If you give him a lump sum of money, I think he's just going to go and try to get more shit to sell. That's what these people do, man. But you're welcome. I mean, he does have some pretty cool shit. I was there a couple of days ago just browsing, and he has a cloak that makes you more stealthy. He has a bag that he pulls like giant rats from and shit. It's kind of interesting. And then he's got this ring that when you punch it, like sends a spectral ram and like goes and knocks something for you. It's like a ranged thing. I almost bought it, but it's 400 gold. A little pricey for my blood. That one I could just blast him as is, and he fires off a few in the keep, just hits the stone and like blackens it a little bit. And as you look around now that he's done it, there's a few of these. You get these. Valkyr's got a little tipsy and just fired off some shots.
If you hit someone, I'm going to hang you from the banisters.
Don't worry, man. No, I'm not aiming at nobody. I'm just really just doing it for flair. Like, when somebody comes to me and they're like, my lord, what do we do with this problem? I go, whatever my answer is, I just blast one in the air and it, sometimes they skitter out, sometimes they cheer, sometimes, it gives me a cool impression.
And to add Goldbrand,
Sylvie
did
Sorry, go ahead.
Sylvie did mention that this new merchant's lease was up. He would be leaving in 2 weeks if we did not renew. And that
He's
would
leaving
be-
at the end of this week, right?
Yeah, you had let him stay for 2 weeks, and this was about a week and a
Uh-huh.
half ago. So in about 4 or 5 days, he should be drifting out.
that would be the least
And-
aggressive option.
And
Oh.
upon that, Daphne will say that he has requested an extension. For what
As
it's
we
worth.
heard, is Daphne in there?
I would say she's in the library, which is off of the main room, so you could very quickly. get
Has
her.
we heard from's the blue ones? Osvius is a blue tiefling, right?
Oh yes, she says that he has not reported anything back yet. That you lords have only been gone for like 4 days. It hasn't been a terribly long period of time. So the message got there. He began to make plans. She tells you that she gathers he's likely in the process of trying something, but they don't have the results of that yet. She does tell you that the actually, let me double check this before I say this. Yeah, she does tell you that the diplomat from Daggerford is also in the town, as the Lady of Daggerford told you, to make sure that you're not just violently, overthrowing this place, that it's civil. And he's been staying in the Nightstone Inn and seems to keep to himself. He talks to a few people in the inn and occasionally checks out the city itself, but doesn't seem overtly suspicious.
Might be good for you two civilized holy folks to go and lightly quiz him about this merchant from Daggerford's.
Yeah, we don't need to approach the whole group.
Okay.
I mean, I just figured that they would.
Yeah.
Everyone's likes a creature, right?
Speak for your
Not
fucking
everyone.
self, Devin. God,
That was
that I'm
supposed to be
proud.
sarcasm. Sorry.
Okay.
I hear their sons aren't usually too fond of them.
I hear their daughters are loose as shit, though, says Valkyr. With
sure
that,
got past your ex pretty quick.
he looks down at his mace as it begins scolding him, unheard to all of you. Since we're
looking-
here,
Crikey!
yeah, since we're here, excuse me, Davos, you were not here when we did this, but there were 3 knights of the Order of the Aster who came to assist you. I think I told you a little bit about them. I'm going to drop a couple of pictures into chat. I'll actually do my best just to make it one picture. There are 3 of them, and they're all knights of the Order of the Aster. That doesn't mean that they're necessarily knights. In fact, the tiefling...
To Squaw. I was gonna say,
Sorry.
285 could, hang around them a little bit.
That's not a bad idea. And Daphne tells you that she'll work on getting him integrated into she's planning to have him train with Sidiri, so she'll plan to make time to have them train with him as well. And she tells you when you met them last time you were here, you met Integrity, who's the yellow tiefling, and he seems on the whole a pretty up and up guy. You gather that there's a bit of a rivalry in the respect that he's kind of curious who this no-name Knight of the Aster came out of nowhere and just sort of became Lathander's chosen and shooting off sunbeams in golden fields. And, he seems a little skeptical, but not unkind. There's Lucius Brighthelm, who's the older human male. And he is actually an old friend of Haral's, the priest in your town. He knew him many years ago. They actually served together in the Order. And he seems a bit of a fuddy-duddy, a bit on the more traditional, more conservative end, but not hateful. Definitely not friendly, but not hateful. And then the third one is Sarah Luxona, and she is a younger elf, and she seems a little naive, but not incapable, and inquisitive, and seems to very much be the lowest of the totem pole of the 3. Lucius has seniority, and she's definitely the greenest. Well, just because she's the greenest.
It was a joke.
No, you're sexist and racist now. Congratulations, it's canon. All right. So do you guys want to go talk to anybody else within the town? Take your rest, plan your Sluethe Fire.
Goldbrand does. He doesn't have to do this immediate. I kind of would like. I don't know. I feel like Goldbrand would want to have a Sluethe Fire just to see, like, we're back in Nightstone. The group doesn't necessarily know what they want to do next, and like that's his first immediate thought is Sluethe Fire. So we decide what we're as a group what we're gonna do next. But he does at some time while they're there, he wants to check on the octopus and make sure that it's not, mostly starving, B, that it's mostly satisfied with their arrangement.
He is not there. And if you bring this to the guards who are posted at the gate, by the moat, they'll tell you, oh no, yeah, he does a bit of traveling. He goes upstream sometimes, downstream, always back within the hour. I don't think he can really properly breathe in the fresh water. The salt water that you've given him is much nicer. But no, I think he's out hunting at the moment. Yeah. Sometimes he'll come back with deer, smaller animals like that, even from land. I actually saw him once. He waited until the creature got close to the water for a drink, pulled it right under, drowned it in seconds. It's pretty terrifying.
As long as it's eatings. It's not killed anybody's in Nightstones.
No, nobody's gone missing or anything like that, but it does unnerve a couple of people.
Maybe
Hell Hydra's over and will leave.
Hell Hydra. I'm sorry, what was that, Devos?
Maybe we could use him as a threat.
Like,
hey, you better act up or you're gonna get cast into the octopus
pit. Yeah. We could have him accidentally takes the Daggerford's merchants.
The octopus would hear, you would hear it purr. What's the plan, boys?
I'll consider it. We're gonna go rough up this merchant. Minus the rough.
I was about to say, you want to talk to the merchant or you want to talk to the diplomat?
Just say maybe we should let his contract run up first, and then when he's like, "Hey, why not? Why no renew?" We go, "Yeah, you know exactly why, motherfucker. What else do you know?"
Yeah. Who does number 2 work for?
Goldbrand's pretty sus that he's Zentarum. So, like, Goldbrand wants to be there when y'all go talk to him. I don't know what he's going to ask him yet. But...
Are y'all prioritizing the diplomat or the merchant first?
Yeah.
Diplomat?
Bergen said the diplomat.
Okay.
Yeah.
YouTube, holy boys. And maybe Goldbrand not so stealthily in tow.
Yeah, he's going to hang... He just wants to look like the bouncer stands in the back at first.
No, I gotcha. You guys make your way into the inn. It is late afternoon. A lot of people are settling down for dinner. And you do see the merchant there, eating by himself in a corner. Davos, as soon as you walk in, Orin and Mezzo and Medley are just stoked to see you and run over. And you see your sister and your mother are actually there, and they've been talking to Orin about Oral Bar. It almost warms your heart. It feels a little bit more like home.
I mean, this is where my home is. Everybody's here.
So as you guys...
You make Goldbrand look sad for a minute.
Aww. You guys go up to the merchant, and he's quietly enjoying a meal, and as you approach, he looks up and goes, I was wondering when I would be graced with your presence. Pleasure to meet you, Lords of Nightstone. You seem as if you're here on business. Is there something I could do for you?
Business and pleasure, I guess.
But
sure, yes. We had some questions.
Please, I'm more than happy to be of assistance.
This is the merchant, right? Or no, the diplomat.
This is the diplomat, yeah. He was sent by Lady Daggerford to make sure that you guys are on the up and up.
Are we on the up and up?
That's what he's trying to figure out.
How are you enjoying Nightstone?
Oh, Warrior City is rather pleasant. I have been here before when Lady Valrosa was still the lord of this town, but no, it is actually quite interesting to see the progress that you've made. When we were told that an elf of the High Forest and a barbarian were crowning themselves lords, we anticipated to find the city in a very poor state. But on the whole, people seem happy.
Goldbrand makes his traps real big for a second.
The only thing that I could say is a detriment to your lordship is that you seem to draw quite a bit of attention. I arrived not long after the hill giants had attacked your city. Saw a few of their carcasses, smelled them for days. But on the whole, your people seem to be pleasantly thriving and recovering from the attack of the cloud giants that preceded you.
We're happy we could meet your expectations.
He chuckles a bit and he goes, "Oh, it is not my expectations that you must meet. I am, of course, reporting back to Lady Daggerford, but my report is, on the whole, very positive."
From his position from the back, can Goldbrand insight check him to see if he's being honest with us?
At the distance you're at, I would say make it with disadvantage.
Okie dokie. Oh, sorry, I don't know why this is full screen.
But I'll tell you what, Bergen and Davos, if y'all want to give me your passive insight, I think it's
25.
On disadvantage?
I rolled 2 25s.
Damn! Fuck. Oh, well, you boys don't have a passive insight higher than that, so we'll just go ahead and he seems honest. He was sent here by Lady Daggerford to report back on the city. And
he's not fibbing about his reports being positive.
No, he seems to be generally, enjoying it. And while he is dining alone, I'd say if you guys scoped out for a second before you came in, you'd see him talking to a few of the townspeople. He's not a recluse by any means, but most people still definitely see him as a bit of an outsider.
So I think upon that moment, upon reading him that way, Goldbrand would kind of stride over to the conversation and pull a chair out and flop himself down and look at the holy boys, and he'd say, "This one seems pretty frank and honest. I think we can have the good conversations with him." And he'll wave to he wants some food, some drink. He'll wave to
Marak and Odiola immediately begin pouring in to give you food and beer, and Marak has another not quite fully fermented but passable batch of forest water that he pours you. And it's good. Not quite there, but it's heading in the right direction.
I'm not good at this talking, so I will let these twos. He's gonna eat and drink and listen.
As you're staring down this diplomat as you're tearing into a turkey leg. Is the something that you
keep in line as best we can?
I appreciate that. I must admit I'm feeling as if the spotlight is on me. Is there something I could help you with?
No, we were curious. I'm sorry, go Bergen.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say we just wanted to make sure that we were doing everything we could to maintain a good relationship with Lady Daggerford.
Oh, of course, and hopefully, we haven't done anything to infringe. I'll admit I am. I'm picking up a vibe, as the kids say. Is there something you're concerned about?
To be honest, there are some other issues that we do have on our mind, but nothing to do with you. Or is it meta-wise? Is it
I would just ask.
He's from the same town as the merchant. You could inquire about him if you were to.
Oh, yeah. Has there been any issues with shipments coming from Daggerford? It seems that our local merchant here is having some troubles occasionally getting what he's ordering.
He goes, "Well, it is not uncommon during times of war, and while we are not at war with a formal country, the giant attacks across the continent have led to most people stocking up on supplies and running through them quicker. It is not uncommon for suppliers not to be able to fill the demands of the many merchants they serve. As far as I know, the merchant from Daggerford here seems to not have any issue with it. I do understand that your merchant has had some issue, but I could not say either way as to. I imagine that being from the city of Daggerford, our merchant has a better in, as it were."
You just recognize the merchants. Does he set up here in the tavern?
He's set up actually in the courtyard. He has a small stall in the in the center of the area. You passed it on the way in, and I imagine you guys kind of eyed him down. And he was talking with someone selling some things, and if as he sort of notices you goes by, he waves, and you see him.
Well, he'll ask the diplomat. Did you recognize him?
We have never spoken personally before our dispatch here. Daggerford is a rather large city, so it is, not unsurprising that there are those that I am not familiar with. But he, I can't say I have any complaints of the fellow.
Goldbrand has one more question, but I don't know that Goldbrand would know to ask it, so I'm gonna withhold.
Go ahead, man. Give Goldbrand some credit. He's wiser than than we give him credit for.
Is there ways that we could identify if he was actually from your cities?
Oh.
Devin wants to know if he has paperwork, like to prove he's a Daggerford merchant, but paperwork's a probably foreign concept to a barbarian.
Right.
Oh, does he have any tattoos? Yeah, there you go. Does he have some sort of tattoos?
And then Bergen would be like, "Oh, well, most people have paperwork."
There we go. I like that.
God damn it! My player's asking me for medieval bureaucracy.
Man, bureaucracy is like, I don't care.
We just want to know if he's really from Daggerford, bro. We're trying to find if
he says,
you don't need.
Well, if
political.
If he has been sent from Daggerford and has been getting these regular shipments, he likely has some type of invoice or paperwork for that. Most merchants carry a set of books such as that. We do not necessarily grant licenses outside of the city. Outside of the city domain, many of our shops in town have licenses, and he may be tied to one of those, but we would not give him a license to go and travel and do trade. That is of his own accord, or the shop that he services accord.
We could see if he had what I'm gathering, Devin's gathering from this is that he would have a book that showed his transactions in Waterdeep and his purchases from Waterdeep and something similar of that nature, even if he didn't have a license, so to speak. Okay. Goldbrand didn't know what half that meant, but he got a vague yes, so he's like, cool, he's gonna keep eating.
Give me 1 second. You asked about tattoos, and I'm kind of curious.
And then I
hit
would
the
just
space
ask
bar and it rolled again. Sorry.
If he had any recommendation on how we could improve Nightstone. I know he said we drew attention, but
all the good diplomatic questions from Davos.
He goes, well, to provide for your people a safe place to call home, as well as safe for travelers to be passing through, I think would do a very large testament to your service. You have managed to repel, as I understand it, 2 attacks on your city now, and in doing so have definitely given a sense of confidence of your military might, but with that comes reservations. One could say that those in power might see you as a threat in that regard. It is a bit of a double-edged sword, as many political things are, you understand.
yes. So perhaps increase our defenses be a suggestion? Is that what you...
Most certainly, yes. Your walls here are admittedly not the best. And you see he's trying to be polite without outright insulting you, but you guys have a palisade wall.
Speak candidly. There's no judgment here.
Your people are protected by a river and a palisade. My people in Daggerford are protected... And an octopus, which scared the shit out of me when I first saw it. My city is protected by thick stone walls, high, that soldiers can patrol around and get a very nice surrounding surveillance of the city. It is not to say that you have to do this to win over Lady Daggerford's approval, but if you were to make such investments in infrastructure, I imagine she would be pleased.
As would we. And thank you for sharing your ideas.
Is Tally with you?
Would assume so.
I would say he came with us maybe to the inn, but maybe not right there.
Okay, kind of keeping the scope out. Telepathically, you hear pop into one of your heads. Or he can do it multiple times. He'll converse with all of you. He says,
He can do 2 people
What-
at a time, can he?
Right.
yeah. But he can communicate. He has a new feat that lets him do it with any creature within 30 feet of him. The 2 people is up to a mile, I think. But you're close enough to where he relays to all of you. You know, we did hear tell that Lady Daggerford had been harsh. I'm wondering if he might have some insight as to what soured her mood.
Been harsh to us, or like in general
Not
to the
to
people?
you. You were told by Fuck, now I'm forgetting who told you.
Well, I thought
You were
we
told
learned
by
from
someone
it.
that Lady Daggerford had grown more reclusive, and where she was once a rather public figure who was out and about in the city, attending events and festivals and all these things, that she has cloistered herself in a way. Still seen, but much more sparsely than before.
This was since we had seen her?
You've never seen Lady Daggerford.
Oh, wait, that's right. Okay.
I'm trying to remember who the fuck told you that. I'll dig and
Fuck it, I'll just say it. We hear that Lady Daggerford has not been herself. Is all okay? Is there something we could do to help out in some way?
you see him seem a bit uncomfortable. It's much like asking an employee, here your boss has been a dick lately. What's going on? He goes, well, yes, the lady has been unusually reclusive these last few months. Some would say that it is because a threat has arisen within her domains, chiefly being you and the hordes that you have attracted. Some would believe that I have a suspicion that there may have been an attempt on her life that has caused her to grow more defensive. Others still might say that she grows tired of the face that political figures must upkeep and maintain. She has, while I do report directly to Lady Daggerford, my conversations with her are sparse. But years ago, she was a kinder woman. Very soft, very friendly, approachable. And that has waned.
Yeah, perhaps with all these giant attacks, everybody's become a little more cautious.
Do you have leverages to opens talks about alliances with the city of Daggerford?
Quite possibly. If my report, if Lady Daggerford takes my report in the best light, I imagine that she will be willing to open up trade and alliances. But unfortunately, I cannot do much to persuade her rather than what I present to her from my findings.
Besides city walls, is there anything we could do to sweeten the pot for an alliance?
Well, you have done well by building your forces and improving them. I've seen many a times the troops training in the barracks courtyard, as well as new armor being commissioned for them regularly. You seem to be doing a fine job of preparing your troops for the next threat, but there's nothing I could think of off the top of my head to sweeten the pot, as you say. But if anything comes to me, I shall be sure to tell the Pink One.
Sounds great. I look forward to seeing you next time. Again. Seeing you again.
Corbrand scarfs the rest of his food so he can leave with him.
You finish your entire meal before the diplomat has finished half of his, and he kind of looks like a little wide-eyed at how ravenous you are, but doesn't say anything and bids you adieu.
Discreetly but not stealthily, I'll go to the bar and make sure that his tab is paid. If he hasn't paid yet,
Very sweet. No, Marak will tell you.
Along with along with an extra drink.
When you do this, Marak asks, are you paying for his meal, or just for his boards? What would you like to provide for him?
Just the meal.
Just the meal. All right, 2 silver pieces, which is actually too high, but we're
And
just gonna say 2
what's
silver.
that?
I'll mark that
What is
off
it?
in the game notes.
Thank
10
you.
silver is 1 gold.
Yeah.
Correct.
All right, I'll give a gold.
Okay.
All right. Is that extra intended to go to Marak or to the diplomat?
No, not to give to the diplomat, just for like the end, like a tip or
Gotcha.
You just throw
Okay.
a gold piece down.
And
and I'll add to that and get that beautiful woman over there a drink, and I point to my mother.
oh, look at you. He's like, I have a fine bottle I'll pull out just for her. And that's sweet. Look, you're such a good son. You're such a good little Jewish boy. I love it.
I'm verklempt.
Now I'm thinking my son over here is some kind of Meshuggah bod, but he's turning out to be a mighty nice paladin.
I mean, do you see the way he eats? He just scoffs down his meals like some sort of barbarian.
No offense, Goldbrand.
Who's the fuck are you?
Hey, that's my mother.
Your mom's kinds of
Y'all-
thoughts.
So that's
Yeah,
the
hold on,
Zatari goes,
first of all,
oh,
first of
really?
Y'all haven't met?
Technically, they probably did meet when you were here. When you weren't here for that week that they arrived, we just sort of skimmed over it. But no, you guys have all met Davos's mother and sister. The mother, as you all know, is widowed, and there's definitely a bit of that look of weariness about her. But she seems to be enjoying herself in Nightstone, and she seems very pleased that her son is sort of fallen into this position as a lord. Her name is Millennia, and his sister is Anessa, and she's a bit younger than Davos. Like I'm thinking, like mid to upper teens, and she has been thrilled that Oren's been here because she knows Oren always knows the hot goss, and has been catching up on who's who in the town, and as she's always been, is sort of the Fae Fighter's #1 fan, and just happy to be here in an environment where she not only gets to see a few people that she knows, but that her brother is a definite somebody.
Moving
Yeah.
up from the east side.
What?
Moving up from the east side.
After
They
they've
took
left
me back to East
the
Atlanta,
tavern, they're out of
Atlanta.
earshot.
Yeah.
It was literally the
Good
east
song.
of which we had come.
It's true. After they're out of earshot, if they left the tavern, Goldbrand would kind of nudge Davos in the ribs. I like to think a little too hard. He
Mhm.
moves him a little bit, trying to nudge him. He goes, so you know, Davos, I am about your mom's age, and she could use a strong man's in her lives.
I would literally kill you.
Daddy Goldbrand.
With that little
And,
pig stickers, I
no,
doubt it.
no smirk, like
Um,
it's a literal like.
About the time that you guys are wrapping up and cutting up, you hear a voice from the courtyard. Ka-chok! And Tally is the only one who actually speaks this. Let me double check that. Yeah. Tally sort of squints a bit, and he turns to you and says, my friends, I believe someone is cursing in Draconic in the courtyard. Perhaps we should investigate.
Of course.
As you step out, you see a let me find his description. A handsome half elf, dark hair, an air of formality, and his eyes are oddly colored. One is his right one is blue, while his left one is a dull orange. He's clothed in a fur-lined green cloak and wears dark clothes beneath that have brightly polished silver buttons and lining. He has a thick, dark wood staff, and he's walking with a slight limp. Let me drop a picture in here so you guys can see this handsome fucker. And you see he's standing in front of the pits where the Nightstone once was. Sort of mumbling to himself, not really having noticed your presence.
Oh.
All right, not everybody at
Why
once.
is- I was supposed to.
I
Why
was
is he
I was
like?
looking at the picture.
Yeah, why is he anime character handsome? I hate it.
I know.
Finding D&D art is very hard. Okay, almost every NPC you're gonna meet is gonna be hot because nobody wants to draw an ugly character. All right.
Seriously. Unless it's good, as in bit.
There's something in the water at Faerun that just makes everyone hot as shit. I don't know what you want from me.
You're
Oh
welcome.
shit. I haven't bought it.
Hey, I approach calmly, not aggressively. Hey man, what's going on? What's the problem?
What's up?
So,
And as you walk up to him, he goes, "Hi, I'm sorry for losing my temper a bit. It's been a long few weeks. I'm sorry. I'm Donovan Jet. I'm a sage who traveled here to seek to study your Nightstone. And
If it makes you feel any better, I had the same reaction when I saw that it was gone.
he that does make me feel a bit better, lad. No, I've traveled quite a ways, and from what I gather, I just got through speaking with a few of your guards. From what I gather, I would have been here in time to study it, but I was attacked, and due to that, left me a little behind in my travel itinerary.
Attacked by whom? Where? When?
Not by whom, but by what. As I was heading northward along the road, preparing to enter Daggerford, a young green dragon from the misty forest attacked me and my horse, and while I suffered some minor wounds, was able to escape, but my steed was not so lucky. I spent the last month recovering up in Daggerford, trying to figure out what to do next. And he sort of gestures down to his leg, and you see that even though he's fully clothed, the way the fabric falls, it seems that he has bindings around his leg, that he's suffered an injury that literally put him off of his feet for several weeks.
I kind of just glance over at Bergen and you want to get that?
Yeah, I asked him if he needs any aid or anything.
He
Yeah.
he tells you that is very kind of you. That is a symbol of Helm, correct?
It is.
No, it is a kind offer, but unfortunately I've already paid quite a good penny in Daggerford to be seen by quite a few healers. Unfortunately, the venom of the beast, the green dragon in particular, is a fearsome one, and it well, magic can take me most of the way. I'm afraid time heals all wounds, as they say.
well, if you get tired of it, I can chop the thoughts for you if you want.
That's a very kind offer. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I'm afraid I have done the courtesy of introducing myself, but I'm afraid I don't know who you are.
I'm Davos.
Pleasure to make your acquaintance, Davos.
Goldbrand.
And this is Goldbrand, yeah.
Bergen.
And Bergen.
Bergen and Tally and Zat, and he goes,
Yeah.
well, pleasure to make your acquaintance.
We're the Beastie Boys.
Yeah, apparently we owns this towns. Goldbrand will hold out his
He-
ring.
He looks a little skeptical. I'm sorry, there must be some confusion. Lady Valrosa runs this town, does she not?
According to this ring's nose.
And he
You'd have to ask my children's companions.
and if you guys fill him in on the attack and why it's missing,
We would.
he slumps down a bit, like almost goes to like a squat, still holding onto his staff. He goes, "Fuck, it's worse than I thought." I knew the Nightstone had some ancient magics in it, powerful, at least as far as I can understand. But I was hoping to glean a little bit more about the information it's contained.
You know how to read the Nightstone?
I have suspicions. While I've never been presented with proper rubbings of it, I have heard tale and came across a particular sketch, and I believe it's not a language in of itself, but rather a combination of languages.
Goldbrand nudges Davos several times with his elbow.
You have a twitch there, friend.
He actually does.
Actually, at your height, you're kind of like elbowing him in the head, like.
Like, elbow is at nipple level, like ting 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 on his armor.
It's kind of rude to talk about it, so we don't. He's got a
Oh,
tick.
the twitch, yes. Understood. Well,
Fucks all of yous. I thinks we have a things.
You do have a thing.
A Rooney thing.
You guys do
Someone
have
took a
from,
rubbing. Devin doesn't remember.
No, not a rubbing. Well, yeah, you did take a rubbing, but you also have the fragment itself. But you could present him with either.
Oh.
Because what you found was a fragment of the Nightstone, a little chunk of this obsidian-like, dark glass-like stone that had but a single rune on the front of it that Sirius found within the pit. But I think that Tally did take a rubbing of it as well.
If we could get you a rubbing, you think you'd be able to translate it?
He goes, I'm fairly confident I could crack it. Might take me some time, but I have a vague idea of what comprises the language anyway. Well, that would be excellent. To lay my hands on it, to understand it, to identify it, would be a huge help as well. But I guess I'll have to wait for you lads to go and get it back from the Cloud Giants, won't I?
I was about to say, how does he know the Cloud Giants have it? Oh, wait, we told him.
Yeah. We fast-forwarded through that, but yeah.
Right.
You might have to wait some minutes. We could have some other things on the agendas. I'm assuming this is the same day we got back.
Yeah.
We will.
Right now, it's going into like later evening.
Yeah, we will be discussing Czar's future plans later tonight, I think.
So
Are
you're
you
not
staying at the inn?
Well, I suppose so. I'm afraid I spent quite a fair bit of coin in the last city trying to get myself patched up, but I still have enough to stick around for a while. And if worse comes to worse, a few things I could sell along the way.
We'll find you tomorrow with hopefully some more info, maybe that rubbing.
Did you tell him of the rubbing?
We'll see if we can find a copy or something like that, yeah.
He
I didn't say we had one.
Yeah, okay, I got you. He goes, oh, that would be much appreciated. I've been traveling for weeks in the hopes of, months now, I suppose. Damn, is it Flamer Roll already? Fuck. Before you know it, Midsummer will be here. He goes, no, that would be,
Midsummer being a holiday, right?
Correct,
One of the single day holidays.
At the end of this month, it will be, Midsummer, and then it will be Shield Meet, which is leap year. It's like their leap day.
Are we gonna have a festival for Midsummer?
Yeah, all four of the holidays have a
festival. Yeah. Neat.
But
if no one else, oh yeah, you were gonna talk to the merchant. I'm down.
Okay, you guys stroll up. Donovan thanks you and makes his way toward the inn. Still limping, and as you guys approach the merchant, he grins very wide and goes, "Ah, my lords, I was hoping that you would return. I remember what you said last time about wanting something more enchanting. I believe I have a couple. I'm still talking in Donovan's voice. It's gonna take a second. I do believe I have a couple of things that I would pique your interest." And he proceeds to show you the 3 items that Valkyr described earlier. The Cloak of Elven Kind, that makes you stealthier, for 350. The Ring of the Ram, for 400 gold, that fires off a spectral ram's head when you punch. And then he pulls out this gray bag, and he goes, and this here, it's expensive, 1,200 gold, but it's probably one of the funnest things I've ever had. And he reaches in, elbow deep, and grabs something. And he pulls out... Where's my D8? As he pulls out his hand, you see a bit of fur, and then he throws it down onto the ground, and it like bubbles and grows and expands until it becomes a giant elk. And the elk doesn't flee like a deer would in a city, but calmly approaches him, and he like strokes the beast on the side. Here's a bag of tricks. You can pull quite a few things from it. The elk's the biggest thing I've found so far, but I've pulled rats, badgers, giant badgers. I reckon there's a few other things in here, but be honest, I'm a little afraid of what I might pull out.
So it's a bag of creatures?
In a way, it'll disappear by dawn, but it is good to create distractions. Feast. Actually, let me double check to make sure this isn't a fake creature. I'm pretty sure it is like a legit creature, but let me double check.
That's quite a neat bag that you have, Stairs. How did you get to hold this, Vince?
And he kind of looks at his stall and just gestures vaguely around like, I buy things. I sell things. This is what I do, no?
Yeah, it seems like quite an expensive item for...
Oh, you're fucking telling me, but I've made a good bit of coin these past couple of weeks. And
How
truth,
did you
I'm
manage
sad to
do
go.
that?
Well, I have a good connection. Family member at a warehouse in Daggerford who gets me stuff at a good price, and I do my
I
best.
believe him?
Make an insight check.
While Goldbrand is, doing like the starry eyes, I say that seems very beneficial.
Davos and Bergen, what's your passive insight?
12 for me. I think Bergen's got the big...
I think he's got like
PI.
15.
Passive insight. Oh yeah, 17.
17. It's gotten bigger. Damn. Big PI. With a 17, you gather that he's telling the truth in pieces. Like, he does seem to have an end to a warehouse or something, but it doesn't. You don't think it's actually a family member. It's a little difficult to pick up, the source of it. You can't just be like, oh, Johnny C. Berkeley at P. Sherman 42 Wallaby Way said he gives him all of his goods for super cheap.
Right.
But you know that he's not giving you the whole truth.
Good Nemo reference.
At a 17, jeez.
I mean, it. Keep in mind, it also depends on what you ask him. That or what his answer is. That what you pick up.
I just realized my passive insight is 16. I didn't know that.
Oh, solid.
Neat.
Yours has gone up a good bit too. You were a 14.
Okay, so Bergen picks up. He's not telling the whole truth. Piece of the truth.
Mostly the truth.
There's been no issues with like bandits on the road or anything getting shipments in.
I can't say that I've had any issues. I pay my men well. They usually leave here, get there by dawn, or get there by nightfall, and return to me by nightfall the next day.
The people that deliver, is it the like warehouse workers in Daggerford, or is this like a third party delivery?
Sometimes, no. It's typically somebody
Like
tied to the.
FPS, Faerun Postal Service or something.
It's actually it's actually FedEx. Yeah, it's like FedEx, but not quite. It's Faerun.
How many shipments do you usually get sent in 10 days?
3, 4, 5. Depends on how much coin they're moving. I like to try to when I get the shipment in, I like to try to send them back with something. A list of what to pick up.
As is standard, right?
This
is
Devon meta. 5 shipments in a 10-day is
one every
almost
day.
That's almost impossible.
Well, you know that Daggerford is a day away, so it's not impossible, but it's pushing the limits of
Yeah.
Y'all still haven't technically been to Daggerford. Y'all have been to Waterdeep, which is like 3-4 days away, but Daggerford's much closer. It's almost it's your closest neighbor for sure.
I'll ask that. Daggerford's a day away. About, yeah.
Oh yeah.
That seems 5 shipments in a 10-day. A little.
Well, if I'm being honest, I'm making better money than I thought. Right about the time I got here, y'all finished that Golden Knight Road, and there's been many travelers coming through. Not to mention your people seem to be a little sick of the higher prices they're paying over at the Lionshield, so I can't blame them for taking a good opportunity when they see it.
Ah, yeah. Same items, just go with the cheaper one, yeah.
And as you... he has a few things set out and a few identifiers to what they are and what their costs are, and you are noticing that they're significantly cheaper. Where that vial of acid was 30 gold, at the Lionshield Coster, and you would probably know from, well, maybe not Goldbrand. Some of you would know that it's normally about 25, and he's selling it for 20. So he's selling it for cheaper than it typically takes to get it, which is a damn good deal.
Yeah, I would feel like he would just say, family member in the warehouse is able to just like cost only ship it, is my assumption.
What else, my dudes?
Thank you. I guess I'll just ask anyway. How are you able to sell these things so cheaply?
Oh, well,
Most vials of acid I would see are, 25 gold on the cheaper side, yet you're pulling a Jeff Bezos here.
Well, it is funny. This is directly from the Amazon forest. I mean, no. Well, most of it's just good business habits. I don't just buy things willy nilly. I wait till something's available in bulk to where I can get it quite a bit of it and negotiate for a whole cart or a whole crate of acid rather than vial by vial.
Can you show us this crates?
I was about to say, do you have your own warehouse here?
No. He has like a simple stall set up, almost like you would see in like Rift and Skyrim. Fairly basic. He has a couple of crates beside him, and he shows you.
Sells wares.
Because he has wares if you have the coins, traveler. But he shows you, and he doesn't open anything. But he there are things that are labeled, acid, ball bearings, traveling gear, rations, stuff like that.
It is my understandings from my civilized companions that these things must be keeping up with. Those you have the necessary scribblings to prove your transactions.
He looks at you and, are you asking for my books?
Yes.
he draws back a bit and he goes, well, if I'm being honest, that's rather sensitive information.
Do you want to keep doing businesses in our cities?
It's funny you say that. I was going to say, perhaps if I could be allowed to stay longer, permanently, I'd be more than happy to turn over the information to you. But if this is going to expire by the 5 days from now, I will have just given you my best sellers.
Goldbrand does he have like a table or I imagine he's selling from like a stand. Like Goldbrand will put his hand on the stand and try to look as big as possible, and he'll say, we would like to take some looks at these books before we decide if it would be beneficial to keep you in the cities.
Roll a persuasion or an intimidation check.
Wants to look scary. Both of those suck for Goldbrand.
I'll tell you what, if you roll,
I gotta yeah, I got good persuasion. So if I try to
I would say Davos, roll persuasion. Goldbrand, roll a d20 and add your strength modifier for intimidation. If you're proficient in it, add your proficiency bonus.
You can't be proficient in strength. Oh, I guess you can in saving throws.
Well, no, I'm saying if you're proficient in intimidation, you can add your strength.
No,
okay, gotcha. Basically, intimidation shouldn't really be charisma, IMO. So, 15. Well, yeah.
Let me see. Hold on a second. 19.
He looks at you and he goes, "No, I'm not looking for any trouble. I don't mind to show you my books, but I would be a fool not to get something out of it in return. If you'll allow me to stay another 2 weeks," he stops. "A month, we'll say. Then I would be willing to turn this over."
Would you be willing to accept a flat fees instead?
He goes, "While a lump sum can be generous, I'm afraid most of my business comes from trading. Not only what I sell here, but what I buy. I cannot say that I could be bought off so easily."
What if you just sell your magic wares here and nothing else?
He goes, well, that would put me in kind of a tight spot, wouldn't it? I mean, here you are, not even looking at what I have to offer, not giving it a second glance, and surely none of these people are going to pick up something that is clearly meant for the adventurous type. Most of my goods come from the everyday people, are bought by the everyday people. To have me just sell magical items would likely put me out of business.
Then maybe... shit.
Then go out the fucking business then.
I'm gonna be honest with the fellow. Well, you seem to put our town merchant in a bit of a tight spot, selling the same things at a cheaper price.
You know,
So
you damn well
have-
you're undercutting them.
You have two options. We can either keep you here and you can sell just different items, maybe everyday items, maybe we can reach an agreement. That way you don't sell the same things. You both get business. Or you'll be gone in a few days, no extension.
He sort of gestures around him. I have crates full of stuff that old fool sells over there. And if you think I'm undercutting him, I think he's overcharging you. I don't
That
mind
could be.
to try to come to an agreement, but to do so would be at a great financial risk to myself.
And I would understand if you would want to leave. But it seems that our local town isn't getting the shipments that he's asking for, and you have no issues. And if I could be completely candid with you, we ran into another merchant that was having plans to undercut in an attempt to infiltrate the town as part of a shadowy organization of which we would not want in this town, and that has been spreading its dirty claws into the surrounding areas.
He,
Instead of
that's a long sentence, so give me a second.
Well,
Oh.
instead of insight checking, while Davos is pressing him with that sentence, Goldbrand wants to just push past him and start looking for his books. He's just gonna take them.
Oh. You don't see them, per se. They're not in the immediate eye line. If you want to begin pushing past him and rummaging through the books, you can. Is that what you're desiring, or?
Yeah, you can answer him first if you want. But I think at this point, like, he's been so
I
dodgy,
think
Goldbrand's
Tally-
just gonna start looking for them himself.
And Tally and Valkyr have like surrounded, not like pressed close, but just if he
Close
does
enough to
try
be.
to run.
Okay.
Right.
Wow, you are really shaking down a merchant in your town square. All right. Okay.
I'm just talking.
Goldbrand, make
Let
an
it be a lesson
investigation
for the
check
rest.
for me.
Gross.
So, Davos, you say this, and he starts to reply to you. I don't mean to seem like I'm doing anything that's nefarious. Excuse me, and begins shouting at Goldbrand as he's digging through his stuff. This isn't your property. You may own the town, but you don't own my damn stuff. Guards, guards! And you see Tyri kind of step over and look like, can't help you, man.
Yeah, Goldbrand like glowers at Sidiri, like, I dropped you on their ass many times the other weeks.
He kind of rubs his tailbone a little sorely, like, no, I remember, big guy. You're good. Can I ask what this is? Can I ask what this is about?
We'll discuss his lathers.
What do you mean?
Hold-
I just told. We're afraid that you're plotting.
Oh well, I
This
think
is
it's
Sidiri
Oh,
talking, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
Sidiri's
sorry,
asking.
sorry. Okay.
But if you say that you'll talk about it later, he throws up his
Okay,
hands
yeah.
and he doesn't leave, but he doesn't interfere either.
I'm guessing with that investigation, Goldbrand can't find the books.
Yeah,
So
he's got all sorts of shit. You're opening, like, you open up. There's a barrel. There's a crate that's sort of sealed shut, and you like pry it open, and like thousands of ball bearings just go scattering about, and like everybody's kind of slipping over themselves.
Does he actually have a crate of acid? Like, is it really a crate full of acid? Like, is he actually
It's not
ordering these things in bulk?
It's not just acid, but it is a number of vials. Yeah, and you see,
Okay.
a lot of these goods are in bulk. They're you don't find any books.
Okay.
Not with a 6.
I tell the
okay.
merchant he can either fork the books over, or we can let our barbarian friend tear his stall to shreds looking for it.
He
When he says that, I want to like toss a lid, like kind of toss it out of the way, like he wasn't trying to make a mess, but when Bergen says that, he'll
he throws up his hands. It's like, fuck! You're crazier than I thought you'd be. No, I can't work under these conditions. And you see, he has a cart over by the stables, and he begins to take a couple of things and try to start loading up his cart. He's like, if this is the way you're going to do business, then I'd rather not do business at all. And he begins loading up his cart, trying to force things, trying to grab things before Goldbrand can't. He's not dumb enough to try to do a tug of war with a barbarian, but
Goldbrand's not gonna stop him from loading things up.
Yeah, I was about to say I'm gonna let him go and like leave the town.
Okay.
But as he's like packing up, and I would say, and if our local merchant shipments don't go back to normal, we will find you.
It's like, I have nothing to do with their damn shipments, and he's like already like trying to get his horses out of town. It's like, fucking crazy backwoods fucking keep, motherfucker.
And tell the Zentarum to stay out.
I'm not Zentarum!
Can I believe him?
Roll an insight check.
He's got a pass of 16.
I do have a pass of 16. Let me
Let's see
see
what you
what's
roll.
up here. Let's say 15.
He's pretty sus. Like, you're not certain, but you're like, you're just like where you, Devin, are as a person. Like,
yeah,
fucking works for
Like
the
maybe it's not Zentarum, but it's like something.
Something
Like,
shady.
you can't,
I mean,
yeah.
like,
right.
yeah. He never
And,
once threatened us to go to Lady.
Actually,
Morrow about this.
one other person can roll an insight check.
I'm horrible. I got a +2.
I don't know if Tally's much better.
Let's see.
Probably.
Not the passive one, right?
No, your base score. Unfortunately, nobody's passive so far has been too great. Yeah, you're in the same boat as Goldbrand. You're like, motherfucker sus as hell.
Hmm.
You know
Well,
what?
he wouldn't let us see
Can
our
I
books.
roll?
Like,
Sure, why the fuck not? One goddamn more.
I
Not
got
one,
an
not one,
inspiration
not one,
point,
not
so
one. Oh, that's right. Oh, Devin, you also have inspiration.
yeah,
Yeah,
Devin, do you
I'll-
want to use your inspiration or no?
I think I'm gonna hold on to it. Devin, maybe not Goldbrand, but Devin's pretty sure that he's not associated with Daggerford. If he is, like we have a positive review and a negative review, so it should
Good
balance out.
fucking use of inspiration. When you're watching him as he's loading up his stuff, and you notice that he has 2 books. Both look nearly identical.
Am I near him?
This is when he's loading up. You're not within like arm's reach of him.
Okay.
You see that he has 2 books that look nearly identical. And with that high of an insight score, you gather one is to show and one is actual bookkeeping. And you gather that he's not on the level. You're not certain if he's Zent or not. You're not certain if he's tied in with... But you're not certain what the organization is, but you're certain that he's up to some devious shit.
Yeah, that's good enough. Either way,
But-
we don't want him in our town.
Yeah, you've driven him off.
Yeah.
Granted, by being assholes, but that's what you guys do best.
What if people not gonna come to Nightstone because we had one merchant who was like doing
Some
some stuff?
shady motherfucker.
You guys have drawn a bit of a crowd at this point, by the way. Like, a lot of your people are sort of watching, and even a few of the travelers who are in, and a couple of them are like, "All right, honey, let's go ahead and go. I think we can get to Daggerford before dark, and yeah,
Nothing
it's
to
late
worry
evening,
about,
so
folks.
obviously not."
I like to think that Zat starts like advertising forest water. Like he does like the whole like
Just slaps a sign on the stand and like, "All right, I'll set up business." Zatari does tell you, guys, I've been thinking, you guys are lords of this place, and I kind of just stumbled into this. I mean, I guess y'all stumbled into it too, but you saved the people. I'd kind of like to get to know these people a little better. I think I'm gonna pull a Valkyrie and hang out for a bit.
this
I
goes
know,
to
my ears will definitely appreciate that.
Fuck you, Shorzy.
this goes to the townspeople sees at least a few faces of their rulers.
He kind of
And
leans
with
into
you
you.
here,
Sorry, go
you
ahead.
can prevent more riffraff like that coming back.
He like cocks his gun and like aims at the merchant but doesn't fire and goes like, "Damn right." Pew. He does He does sort of lean in and like, and to be honest, I gotta make sure Valkyr doesn't sort of burn our fucking our house down. You know, somebody's gotta keep this one in line.
I find distracting him with dancing tends to work well. Like
Valkyr
making
can
him
dance.
dance, not you dance.
Oh, okay, thank you. I was a little nervous there for a second. No, yeah, that sounds doable. I'll throw a
Didn't those
gold
make
or
us
two to
dance?
your bards and let them keep them occupied. All right, my dudes. We only have a few minutes left, but I'll let you guys get
Sluethe
another thing or
Fire.
two done. Yeah.
Sluethe Fire? I was about to say, when it got dark enough, Goldbrand would start piling. And this time, he's gonna pile. He's gonna make. How many squares are these squares? How many squares? How many feet are these squares?
the squares are 10 feet, but before you guys
Lay
do
off
that,
your blood, we-
Donovan was one of the few who sort of was watching you guys. Not the few, but one of the townsfolk who was watching you guys as you sort of harassing this guy, and he goes, "You lads seem to know how to take care of yourselves. You know, that dragon. You know, it won't fuck with Daggerford. It's too big. They've got too well fortified. But you're not outside of its influence here. The Misty Forest isn't too far away. If you would do well to consider taking care of that problem before it gets any bigger."
We'll take it into consideration. We had already kind of talked about it, but yeah.
No. And if you do, you know, bring me back some bits. Talons, fangs, skull, the poison glands. I can teach your people to make some mighty fine things with them.
Oh wait, he was saying go kill the dragon. Okay.
Yeah,
I got
well,
it.
but I think he's implying it's not a fully grown dragon.
Yeah, it's a
Right,
young,
right.
and he tells you this. Like, I've seen, he, you know, I am a learned man. And I've seen a few dragons in my time. Not up close or personal. Not done combat with any other than this fucker, but this one was definitely on the smaller end. Big by our standards. But compared to a dragon, this thing's adolescent at best.
We're familiar.
An adult dragon would have swallowed me and my horse. This one was satisfied with the horse.
Okay. Goldbrand's about a horse size, so that makes Goldbrand feel better.
About a horse size. Yeah?
It can be like for notes' sake, but I would just make sure that he gave us all the info on where it might be or any sort of.
Yeah. And I'll even I'll move you guys to your map real quick.
Any advice on taking it down? Anything he noticed?
He'll tell you that green dragons are poisonous and can be pretty fearsome. So for reference, you guys are here at Nightstone. Bloop, 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 bloop. And
Shit,
this,
it's right there. 2 days, 3 days.
the Misty Forest is not far at all, yeah.
I was about to say Daggerford's a day. It's here. So,
And here's a token
2
for you
days.
guys just to see what I'm talking about. He was attacked along the tradeway, coming to Daggerford. Still a couple of days away from Daggerford, but a dragon that calls that place home is obviously not limited to that space. It can cover a good bit of distance a day. You gather it moves at least as fast as your airship does, if not faster.
hmm.
And that's another thing that flicks into your mind. You fly all over this
Battle
place.
from above.
If you or you could be on your way somewhere and it could attack you. Like, things to think about. But you guys gather within the keep, all 6 of you, Valkyr and Tally
well,
and
For this Sluethe Fire, Goldbrand wants to start a 15 to 20 foot bonfire in the town square.
oh god, okay. You break apart his stall and just begin like throwing the remnants in the hole where the Nightstone was. Much to the alarm of a few people, like some people are like, oh god, Goldbrand snapped. I always knew it would be him first. Like,
So
285 is
he gets
about
the-
it. He's like, yeah, break shit, and like, yeah, and like, well, I'll give him a roll. I think it's probably a -1. He rolled a 1. He like punches it and like jams his fingers. He's okay, all right. I'll practice some stances.
You do not punch
He had a
once,
nat
he's
20 and a nat 1 on his only 2 rolls of this. I love that. Oh god.
Your breaks. Goldbrand like snaps it, starts snapping stuff, and but he'll make a big bonfire. He'll turn it blue.
Okay.
He'll
Turn it
make
blue?
sure that. Well, yeah, he throws a powder in there. I think I've narrated before that
that's
turns
right,
it
yeah.
blue, flue powder, if you will. And he'll make sure all the lords have a little carved phoenix effigy. I like to think that he carved them, or they don't have to look nice. They could look really crude.
But along the way of the travels and stuff.
Yeah, while he's
Okay.
traveling and stuff. He'll make sure all the lords...
Goldbrand, you shouldn't have.
All
Throw
the
into the
lords have
fire.
a little phoenix effigy to throw on the fire.
Okay.
Middle of the town square, and when enough people, like when he throws the powder in the fire, and there's people gathered around, kind of wondering what the fuck this barbarian's doing.
And like half the people seem to be like confused, and the other half seem to think it's a party, and like people are pouring out of the inn with drinks and cheering, and there's some people who are dancing. There's some people who are sort of just watching curiously, but it's not entirely apprehensive. There does seem to be some frivolity about it.
The kinds of rights. Goldbrand, and if he can, he would have want to make anywhere between 3 and 5 more. They don't even have to be carved. Just something like little pieces of wood. They could be bears, they could be phoenixes, but he'll have anywhere between 3 and 5 more that he has in a bag, and he sits down and he'll explain to the crowd at large and the lords that are with him at the time. He'll say, you all knows what Sluethe Fire is. And he'll says,
none of them know.
where I'm from, this is how you speaks your minds to the communities. In these who's is braves enough, may comes and takes a totems and throws it into the fires and speaks their minds.
Okay.
You may talk candidly to your lords at these times. There are only, he says, however many number of effigies he made.
Let's say 3 for tonight.
3. So there are only 3's effigies. Me only speaks if you burns in effigies. Consider your speakers wisely, townspeoples. And he'll take his in his hand and throw it into the fire and turn and says,
well,
I am
pause 1 second.
gold.
Before you start that, I just want to reiterate some of your options. Okay. You guys can proceed to the next the next giant of your choice. There's stone, frost, fire, and cloud that are still remaining. And you know roughly where all of them are. You could head to you could try to head to Daggerford. You could try to confront this issue head on. Try to find out more about this merchant. Try to find out about the Lady Daggerford. You could go to deal with the young dragon that is residing in the forest not far from your home. Or anything else you would like. But those, I think, are the 3, like, most immediate concerns for your people.
Looking at the time, I will, if y'all want to, I will stop and Goldbrand will voice his opinion next session if y'all would prefer. I can also do it this session.
If we could tonight, that would be helpful, because then I know what to prep for next week. Because if I prep, one of these paths and y'all go down one of the other, then I'm,
I guess 3 of us is still technically majority.
I'd like to figure out what we're doing as well.
I'm down for either of those, to be honest. Well, maybe like...
Just from a strictly geological standpoint, Daggerford's the closest, followed by the dragon, and I don't even know where the nearest giant is.
So, Devin's question is if... So, obviously, Goldbrand put together the tribe's not where they're supposed to be right now.
Correct.
But he probably doesn't know where they are.
There is one other piece of information I should give you for this, and I should have given it to you a couple of sessions ago. Safine contacted you through the mirror to tell you that she attempted to get your message through, but was unsuccessful. And she tried multiple times. And this is unusual. She says, while I don't know this person, and that would make it more difficult, normally through perseverance, I could come into contact with them. And she tells you that they may be shrouded by some means against divination.
But Goldbrand doesn't recognize the area that he saw them during prescience. He doesn't recognize that area.
It was generic enough. I mean, there were cliff faces, there were forests, there were trees, but that could be almost anywhere in Faerun.
Okay, not knowing what Devin knows, I think Goldbrand would, when he throws his thing into the fire, he would say, "This overgrown lizards is a threat to our townships and a threat to our journeys through the skies. It would be prudent to take its heads and claims its glories first, and that will that's his opinion, and he'll
I
that
will
was his
say,
statement.
so we have 3 who are not absent. I'm going to throw out what I think they would think. Zatari will say that the giants are the biggest threat. They seek, while this dragon is an issue, the giants seek destruction on a much grander scale. And he thinks that taking care of the next giant lord would be best.
Okay, so we got 1 for dragon, 1 for giant.
Talaband thinks that Lady Daggerford is the bigger threat, and thinks that a formal military attack on Nightstone could prove dangerous, and thinks that she's the next one to go to.
1, 1, and 1.
That leaves Valkyr.
To say whatever other option we have. So.
No, Valkyr will say. That's a tough one.
I think he would say the dragon.
Actually, well, no, and there's a reason I'm saying this. Valkyr is from the far west, from the not the Evermore, the Evraska, and Davos. You would know this as a city to the far west of the far east. I said west earlier. To the far east of Orlbar, along the edge of the Anarok Desert, that sort of marks the end of the civilized part of the country. And he will say that he has heard of towns being destroyed, that Lork, a rather large city, has been leveled. Not rather large city, a larger town has been leveled, and that the giants there don't seem to be after anything other than just destruction, destroying man-made things. And he thinks that the giants are the issue.
2 for giants, 1 for the others.
So that leaves you 2.
Does that mean the closest giants are over in Lork?
Roll an investigation check for me. You know what? You're a bard. I will say investigation or performance.
Performance all the way.
22. All right. You review what the Oracle told you. You jotted it down, and it's almost lyrical the way it lines up. And while you can gather some of them, and Zatari knowing where roughly the fire giants are, give you some insight, you know that from your exact position, the stone giants are probably the closest. And Goldbrain, you could confirm that, given that you have migrated through some of the area that they occupy. I would say that Bergen could tell you that the frost giants are pretty far out. He knows they reside somewhere on the northern seas. Zatari knows that the fire giants are somewhere in the far north mountains, and the cloud giants travel. There's no way to really know where they are. Of the 3 that you know geographically, the stone giants are the closest. And Davos, I will say, you know that Lork is not far from Orlbar.
Mm-hmm.
It is the next. It's not as big as Loudwater, but it is a large. It's larger than your town was.
I do got a bone to pick with the stone giants.
I vote.
I almost feel like we should take care of the threats in the order of proximity to Nightstone. Because Bergen's probably just concerned of the citizens of Nightstone.
For sure.
So that's 2,
also
2,
don't want to
1.
draw any more attention from the
Well, it sounds to me like that's 3 giants, Davos, Zatari, and there was 1 more for the giants. And then Bergen
Valkyr.
and someone else. Yeah, and then there was Bergen and 1 more for Daggerford. And then there was only 1 for the giant. Or for the dragon. So it's going to be between the giants and Daggerford. Because Daggerford's the closest, right? If we go by Bergen's
By proximity.
criteria, yeah.
But do we really think that Daggerford is going to launch a military attack against Nightstone after we just talked to the guy that seemed to be pretty honest? That, like, I didn't get the impression that they were going to launch an attack. Now, as far as, like, investigating why Lady Daggerford would reclusive.
Yeah, it was more along the lines of investigating the merchant and then Lady Daggerford. There's not as much of an imminent threat there, I suppose. But you know something shady's up and somebody's trying to get into your town. It's a
There's
threat, but it's not like
Looming.
yeah,
I would
exactly.
say to
There's-
maybe settle that, re-talk to that guy in the inn, unless he's in on it, but he seemed to either be clueless or just a messenger.
Does
for
Davos
them.
know enough
And that's
to
a pretty good
understand?
assessment.
Does Davos know, like, if we went to Daggerford and
Does
then tried to
Davos
go
know?
find this? Yeah, if we went to Daggerford and then tried to find the Snow Giants, would we be going out of our way to stop in Daggerford first?
Yeah, you would have to spend a day, not a full day, but part of a day to fly to Daggerford, and then part of a day to fly back to Nightstone, and then however many days to go east. I think it would be, if it's a 10-day walking, it's probably about 5 or 6 flying. 6 or 7, I think.
We could always spend a day in Daggerford checking things out if we wanted to, and then go check the storm giants, the stone giants.
I don't know of anyone who would be willing to tell us anything if they were trying to infiltrate our town.
We also are lords. We could go and speak directly with some Sluethes.
She seems to not be seeing anyone, and if we were planning an attack on Daggerford, we wouldn't let her come in and talk to us.
That's fair.
Or if we did, it would just be like, oh, no, bro, we're cool. You know, we're Russia, you're Ukraine, whatever.
Oh, wow. Topical. Ooh. God, I just realized how fucking pale I am. Jesus Christ. Okay. Sorry, it's winter, y'all.
We could just drop a bunch of fire bombs on her castles, but
I mean, they haven't done us anything.
Mm.
Yeah, and
or
I mean,
have-
you don't think that, the Lady Daggerford is necessarily responsible for what's going on. You get that she's suspicious of you, and she's having you looked at, but she hasn't done anything openly hostile. The merchant, I mean, you don't know exactly what they're tied to. You feel like they're a threat in itself. The trip to Daggerford, I feel like, would be more learning more about the situation. But you could learn more about both of those, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
it's also possible
I
we
feel
hear
like
from the
that's-
Blue Ones soon.
Yeah.
Daggerford's
That's true,
side
yeah.
quest, even though it's closer.
And you do know that he is trying to infiltrate her keep. So he may have information that makes, your priorities a little more clear. All right, boys.
I mean,
I mean, it was still 3-2 for the Giants, so I kind of think
Who
that's
voted for Dragon? I'm trying to remember.
I think Goldbrand's the only one that voted for
I'm
Dragon.
not against, like, hey, let's get this
Mm.
dragon first, because it's sort of on the way, and I don't want to come back to Nightstone and find my mom
Yeah.
and sister been eaten by a dragon.
That's what I was worried about, us going off on our adventures and shit that's right around the corner from the house coming over when we ain't there.
That's fair.
But it's probably a whole session for a dragon fight, I'm thinking.
We also oh yeah,
Meta
even for a
wise,
young dragon, surely.
I mean, it's
We also should get to hear next session probably the 3 totems for the townspeople. They'll get to tell us kind of what they think.
honestly, I don't know who is going to step up. I was thinking about it. Sidiri, is concerned about the dragon, but doesn't know enough about the situation to say this is the most important thing threatening us right now. Daphne
It was also kind of Goldbrand's intention that it not necessarily be like for what the lords are going to do next, as much as like this is your one chance to step up and be like
to vet about it.
yeah,
Okay,
I
in
don't
that
like this
case-
or I don't like that. I want you to change this or I don't.
In that case, Sidiri thanks the dragon. He says, "That's hearing about this is cause for concern. We do not have the proper fortifications to defend ourselves against such a beast, especially if you lords are away." Daphne,
What if we had the giants' help from the dripping caves?
I mean, I've never seen a dragon fight a giant, so I don't know how that would go either way. Sure, it wouldn't hurt, but Daphne will say, the giant's not here yet, by the way. They're walking, so they're going to be, longer than you guys. But
I won't count it.
Daphne will say that the city of Daggerford and its denizens could be cause for concern, but we should allow young Osvius to uncover what information he can. That could give us better insights into hopefully one of those, if not both, situations. The third one, Roderick, the sheep farmer, grabs the totem and throws it in. I need a fucking pen for these sheep.
Fair enough.
Sorry, I'm new here. Is this how we do this? Is this yeah?
Lady D,
Alright.
make it happen.
Yeah, Lady Daphne make it happen. Okay. Well, it still sounds to me like even with those votes, there were still more votes for the Giants than anything.
I would say, final answer for me. The Giants is the end goal, but if we wanted to stop and get the dragon first and then do the Giants, I'm good with that. Or just straight to the Giants is what I would say.
Okay.
And then,
So,
like I said,
Dragon then
diplomatically,
Giants.
Just.
I'm thinking
roll
dragon
the
and giant too.
Okay. I think who else said dragon? Goldbrand?
Goldbrand, yeah, he wanted
So
to go.
you would probably be in
Yeah.
agreement with that. That's 3. That's all you need.
And I think that, like, especially from Devin and Goldbrand's point of view, we're going to kill this thing that's a direct threat to our township.
Mhm.
Then we're gonna go take care of the other thing. Like, if I was the lord of a town, I wouldn't want a dragon within a day and a half or a day's flying distance to the town. Like,
That's fair.
Yeah.
And just to make sure, Amorous back in Orbar does not
Yes.
have like a seeing stone or anything, huh? Like our
A
messaging stones.
Oh
It would
no,
have
he
to
does
be
not. Oralbar is a small enough town to where they don't have the type of magic users who would really be able to deliver those types of messages. Loudwater does, and Daphne tells you could perhaps have a message sent to Loudwater, but
I would say that send a message to Loudwater to let them know, let Orbar, let all the surrounding area know there's been reports of stone giant attacks coming in,
and
either get out and head towards Nightstone or fortify up.
And you would know when your mother and sister came, they also talked about how they had heard of the attack on Lork. They had heard of increased giant activity in the area, and they felt that Oralbar was fine, but it is again small town. I really have to piss, which is why I've been wiggling nonstop for the past 10 minutes. But I think that's a pretty good point. Next week, we will look at taking down the dragon and heading to the stone giants. And with that, my dudes, we'll call tonight's session over. I love you guys. Take care. Be good.
All right.
And is it Schmatter Day yet? Shrug. We'll see.
Are we moving it to Saturday?
I think we'll aim for Friday week by week, but when we can't, we'll just try to default to Saturday. So I think it's good to have that little backup.
Yeah.
All right.
Later, dudes.
See you guys.
Good night.
good night, my dudes.